Okie dokie. This might be our last part.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Make sure to like and subscribe.
It most likely, judging by how far,
Probably.
I mean, probably, but it depends on how long these chapters get.
Yeah, fair enough.
I do not know what I can say, but if it is very close to the end, I hope we get to see Alice in the suit very soon.
Fair enough.
In the penguin suit that I found.
Yeah.
Anyways. His heart was beating faster than normal. The fragmented and disturbing images kept returning, and he desperately pushed them to the back of his mind. They were thoughts that shook his resolve. He did his best to file them away into an unseen corner of his consciousness. Right now, he could only focus on controlling his breathing and his exertion. Just stay calm, he repeated to himself. He had not stopped for a second since leaving the church. Even without giving a thought to what he would do next. So many traffic lights. So many people. It was Christmas. There was no way he would find a taxi. Waiting for one was not an option. It was why he had put his trust into his legs. He dashed through the city streets. He had to find a shorter route than last night. His heart was ready to jump out of his chest, pounding like a hammer against a fire bell. He had no intention of giving up yet, but he could not seem to calm himself down. In his precarious condition, even surrender seemed too great of an effort to spare. Visions of horrible outcomes flashed through his mind. No, calm. He needed to stay calm. This was his only weapon. He was painfully aware he was powerless, and best thing he could do was to keep his head on straight. While he wrangled with his mind, his pulse seemed to quicken with every step. The forest was faintly lit by the moon. That was more than enough on such a bare mountain. He followed the two set of footprints. Ahead laid a situation he had nothing to do with, just like at the amusement park.
Even if you go, there's nothing you can do for them.
The only effect...
Oh, wait, right, that was Yuka.
That was Yuka. Well, that's fine.
Even if you go, there's nothing you can do for them. The only effect her admonishing words had was to hasten his pace. Someone said it. He pushed the ground with his legs even harder, trying to leave his doubt in the kicked-up snow behind him. Of course he was powerless. The pain in his chest told him so. At best, he would be useless, and at worst, he would be a liability. He recalled the binding spell placed on him at the church. It didn't matter. His body told him he would regret being torn to pieces less if he did nothing. But what if he got turned into 17 pieces? Not once did his legs fail him as he ran through the woods, though it felt as though his heart could at any moment. His weakness screamed at him from within, just like back at the amusement park. He was beyond reason or circumstances now. Ultimately,
I just want to help her.
that was all he really desired. His heart pounded with vigor as he ran through the dark, wintry forest. Only one thing gnawed at his mind. Not concern for the girls, nor anger towards Toko. The red roses bursting forth from her limbs. Screams of agony like childbirth. The harsh reality of something beautiful dying. The nightmare was tenacious. Never again. Never again did he not want to see something like that again, if he could help it. Just ahead was the forest clearing. The moonlight shone on the old school building like a spotlight. Once again, his thoughts crept back. He could not bear seeing something like that again. That was why he ran. But if he had to face it a second time, how could he stay calm? With that thought in mind, he arrived at the clearing. Somehow, his frantic breathing, his rising and lowering shoulders, stopped. No exhalation, no exhaustion, no inertia, no blankness. Just blankness, like his mind was frozen in time. This was the second time he felt like this. But the nausea and dizziness from the first time, the pathetic whining of the last few weeks, the doubts clouding his mind, they were all gone. Displaced entirely from his mind by an even stronger emotion. His heart pounded with the force of a sledgehammer. It was a primal sound, loud enough to bring him to his senses. Soujyuro stepped into the clearing, letting out a deep but steady exhale. Oh, those are Engie eyes. Although his eyes were locked on the blonde-haired boys, his concentration was focused inward. Be calm. Be calm. Why does this just remind me of the Jotaro meme?
You're approaching me?
Every fiber of his being worked. And he's even, he's got black hair and he's got gold hair, it works. Every fiber of his being worked to control his breathing. The clearing told the story of Alco and Alice's crushing defeat. Alco was laying face up in the snow. Her right leg bright red and crushed at the thigh. Her eyes were glazed over, but Soujyuro could tell she was still barely fighting. Bravely fighting. Judging by her sputtering, she had taken a hard blow to her chest or back. Soujyuro deduced it was most likely both. Alice's injuries seemed less serious than Alco's, but she lay motionless on the ground nevertheless. She was laying across from Elko, face down in the snow, arms out in front, as though pushing herself up was too painful. Before the old school building stood the figure of the mage he had seen before. Paying her no mind, Soujyuro began to walk forward. Feeling calmer since arriving at the clearing, he advanced towards Elko. Toko did nothing to stop him. No one noticed, but the faintest look of worry flickered in her eyes. Are you a friend of theirs, mister? The child werewolf spoke amicably, confident in his victory. And perhaps also eyeing up a new meal.
Food.
Soujyuro ignored him and kept walking toward Elko. The complete disregard wiped the smile off from the boy's face. Still, Soujyuro carried on. The beast's feelings were the last thing on his mind. Once he reached Elko, he looked down at her with a pained expression on his face. Strangely, he was at a loss for words. After a slight hesitation, all he could manage to say was,
That wasn't very polite, Miss President. You shouldn't have left the church without saying goodbye.
His awkward remark was half scolding and half affectionate. You numbskull. Despite the pain in her stomach, Elko was able to throw an insult his way.
Glad to see you still have some fight in you, Haozaki.
His voice brightened, as if buying her bravado. The truth was that she barely had the strength to live. Despite that, Soujyuro looked like he wanted to respond in his usual way. Something like,
See, Haozaki? You're too tough to die, even when someone kills you.
you know... As soon as she tried to speak, she ran out of breath. Soujyuro heard her loud and clear this time. He might have looked absent-minded, but he knew exactly how dangerous the situation was. Elko knew because his carefree-sounding words did not match his expressionless face. What do you think you're... Before she could say doing, she coughed painfully. Soujyuro pressed his fingers into his lips and nodded. Elko could not quite believe it, but it looked as though Soujyuro had gestured to her to not speak.
Ain't it obvious? It's the same as last time. If you go down, I step in, right? So I'm here. Okay, I still can't do anything. But still.
Elko did not know what to say. She could only look at him, amazed and awed. The werewolf stared at them, visibly frustrated. After all, he believed himself to be the noblest of all creatures. Ignoring him was treason, punishable by death. Had Toko not been there, he would have sunk his teeth into Soujyuro's neck by now. He was sure he had been intimidating enough. However, his prey did not show any signs of fear. It was hard to imagine, but maybe, just maybe, this guy did not view him as a threat. Whatever. As long as the meat is tender, juicy, and filling, I don't care whose it is.
先にそのお兄さんから始めても構わないよね。
You don't mind if I start with you, do you? The boy wolf called out once again. Still not responding, Soujyuro raised a hand to his nose. Cool, calm, and collected. Paying no mind to the boy, yet keeping an eye on him.
Something reeks.
Huh? Wet dog.
Yeah.
Everyone present was confused. No one seemed to be able to smell anything but him.
Heightened sense of smell.
何が匂うっていうのかな、お兄さん。
Oh, what do you smell, mister? Beo's voice retained his usual arrogance, but was tinged with impatience. The boy was unable to hide his irritation at being ignored. Finally, Soujyuro turned to face the boy, just a short distance from him. Please say wet dog. Oh, rotten meat, okay.
It's like rotten meat. This is why I hate dogs.
His
Damn.
voice was filled with disgust and contempt. Soujyuro was mainly speaking to himself. But the werewolf boy had never felt so insulted. Even if that was not Sojuro's intent at all. In a moment, the wind picked up, perhaps signaling a change in the werewolf's mood. A fiery glare whipped around, carving patterns into the snow. A fiery gale. Soujyuro! Sensing he was about to be killed, Ako desperately tried to move. But her broken body would not respond. After hearing Sojuro's insult, Alice was unsuccessfully struggling to get to her feet too. In complete contrast, Soujyuro stood there, firmly and unfazed. The little blonde boy's well of patience had run dry. I get it. You're underestimating me. Because I look like a kid, huh? Big mistake! His time playing human was over. Enraged, the boy transformed. He grew larger and larger, golden fur sprouting from his pale flesh. His mouth grew razor-sharp fangs, his hands grew claws. Drawing from the magical energy in the air, he transformed into a perpetual beast, a wolf in the shape of a human. Beo, did I say you could transform? Toko yelled at him, but the werewolf did not respond. He only huffed deep breaths of hot air.
Did you really just...
That was all Soujyuro could say in response to the boy's metamorphosis. Such a transformation was the stuff of nightmares.
Huh. Neat.
So you're really be like that.
I mean, literally, he went neat to watching mages destroy a puppet, so...
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, nothing
What was
phases this
worst?
man.
Truly. What was worse, the beast now towered above him. It was enough to make anybody question reality itself.
You know what's weird?
Hmm?
I had a weird theory. On like
Okay.
if Soujyuro had any actual power. What if certain types of mystics are completely he is completely unaffected by certain types of mystics, purely because he does not think that they are anything special.
Oh my god. That's actually brilliant as a
Hmm.
theory.
I like that.
Like, I
But the
mean,
whole
I could be
restoration
completely off
thing-
off the mark, but like,
Yeah,
but
but
if
like, the
some,
theory
hey, if
itself
they
is
want
still
to
pretty
take like
cool.
that theory itself as like if you built a character like that, that'd be really fucking cool.
true.
That's actually legit a very cool idea. Nice.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, it's like how
making
it's like how
a
certain
show like
character.
that?
Yeah, it's like how certain it's like how the what's the board game called? The Lovecraft board game.
Oh,
God, what was the last? I know it.
You know
I know
like
about the Lovecraft dating sim, but
yeah, but you know how there was one character
Like
who
the
like literally can't
Call of
comprehend what he's
Cthulhu?
look. Yeah, Call of Cthulhu, I think it was called, where there was like one character who was like so dumb he just kind of thinks that like all of the supernatural garbage that's happening around him like is
it's just normal.
just like regular
It's just
stuff.
normal. That is like
Like that that was mentioned on like roll 20 or not like on Dimension 20, I think. They were like, that
Oh,
dog
right.
is sick, you know that.
that
Yeah.
dog is sick.
That's kind of the vibe, you know.
I love that. Maybe that's what Sojuro's thinking. That
Maybe.
dog's sick.
That dog is sick.
You kill that dog.
Kill that dog.
Soujyuro, that's a werewolf. I don't know about
Oh,
that.
It's just a big puppy.
I don't know about that. He looked kind of
Oh my
sick.
God. Sojiro is the type to do. There's a TikTok audio that's like we're blooping, bloop 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 bloop. That is a wild, awful creature. That's an evil predator. He's not a predator. We're blooping, bloop 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 bloop. That's just Sojiro in a nutshell.
We're gonna bloop this werewolf.
But yeah, if I'm correct, then
You are correct. Then this would be the best call.
This
in
is
ever.
going to be the biggest shift ever.
yeah, for sure. But like, if I'm wrong, then Soujyuro was dead.
At the very least, you got a good theory about Type Moon stuff because with the rules of the world, that could potentially be a thing.
Yeah, because even mages know that like, you know, mystics aren't supposed to be a thing, or at least they know that like they are mystical in it of themselves, and that gives it their power. Like,
Yeah.
like literally perceptions of the world give magecraft, mystics, noble phantasms, etc. their power. That's how mystery works. So if you have somebody who just doesn't think that who legitimately doesn't think that they're anything special, like they're literally just normal stuff that happens, it just happens to be that they're and they're not like odd or anything, and they're like not odd or anything by them. Does it just not affect them?
Can you imagine looking into like Shiki's eyes and Shiki just not seeing lines on them because they just don't
maybe
think
that's
it's
the
real.
cheat code. That's the cheat code. Just don't think magic is real, and no lines of death appear on you.
I don't think it takes it that far, but okay.
I mean, obviously Soujyuro was probably able to die, but like,
I mean, of
Yeah.
course, but like, yeah,
he has one big point of death, but like that's it.
all of it,
Maybe.
all of it.
Amazing.
Amazing. He really did just say, neat.
Huh. That's kind of neat.
Seeing his prey's reaction satisfied the werewolf, and his maw twisted into a satisfied grin. He was a strange one, this guy, but meat was meat.
Yo, strange meat.
However, the beast's arrogance was short-lived. The prey breathed a sigh of exasperation before speaking.
Man, you really are a dog.
That look of pity on that dude's face. Both of you are dying.
You
Both
could
of you
hear
are
a
legit
pin
dying.
drop, even in the snow. Alco, Alice, and Toko were all dumbfounded. Were they really seeing a human not just stare a werewolf down, but insult it to its face? They simply could not believe it.
He's not even a mage. He's just some guy.
He's just a dude.
He's literally just some dude.
The guy is Soujyuro isn't even being arrogant about it. He just looks like he's pitying the werewolf.
He's just a dog.
Aw,
Damn,
man,
you're just a big
you're just a
dog.
dog. Grr,
It was too
grr.
late. That's the best growl I have. Any trace of the wolf's pride or dignity faded away. The onlookers finally realized that the wolf was serious. Bayo, do not kill him! But Toko's command fell on deaf ears. The wolf prepared to lunge, his emerald eyes fixated on Soujyuro, not 30 feet in front of him. A mere 30 feet. A half second was all he needed. Another half second to bring his claws down and slice his prey from head to toe. You're dead! A roar of joyous, unbridled fury echoed far and wide. It was the only warning the werewolf gave as he exploded towards Soujyuro. 1 second. A golden blur swept forth in a furious gust too fast for eyes to follow. In the face of unworldly speed, there's only one thing to do. Soujyuro stepped forward. A silent shadow opposite the beastly silhouette of the incoming werewolf.
Bro is approaching him.
He needed exactly 3 paces.
3 paces.
He bet his entire life on around 3 feet of distance. In the blink of an eye, death would be upon him. Yet he did not show the slightest indication of he intended to avoid the lunging behemoth. The wolf's 4 legs slammed into the ground with earth-shaking fury. Oh damn.
Holy
Oh,
crap!
damn.
Make that
His back
thumbnail.
muscle. His back muscles tensed up so much they seemed barely contained in his frame as he swept a raised paw downward. I think this is what I saw when I got spoiled.
Oh no.
So I'm excited.
Okay,
I'm
let's
so
see-
fucking excited.
Let's see what happens.
Soujyuro's small step neatly evaded the claws,
Bruh.
What?
but he had a different motive. He was merely positioning himself for the next move.
Is he gonna he's gonna do the thing where like people throw their hand inside of like bears' mouths?
That part I don't know.
It's hilarious. Can you
Wait,
imagine if
wait,
that
wait.
works?
But you know what?
Wait.
It's Soujyuro, so there's a good
What if
chance
he just
Might.
what if he just uppercuts him? What if he just uppercuts him?
he's gonna bonk this werewolf.
Gonna boop.
His
gonna boop.
intention was never to avoid anything. From the beginning, his mind was focused on but one thing. One point to aim for.
Point of death?
One mind. One breath. One family. Anyways, he picked the perfect opening in the wolf's torso, and the precise microsecond between
Is he gonna-
retractions and relaxation.
Is he gonna pierce his head into the wolf's fucking heart?
Maybe. That one point alone was the crack in the dam of life.
Oh wait,
Does
he's
he have
really
fucking eyes?
he's really talking about
Holy
points
crap.
of death. I swear, he has Mystic Eyes of death perception.
No, probably not.
What the fuck?
What the
Holy crap!
What?
What?
the heck?
He
What the hell
punched
is
the
that?
werewolf in its chest with his feeble human strength.
Holy
Feeble.
shit! This-
Hold on, let me take a
Remember
peek.
last
Images.
time when I said Sojuro's going to throw hands?
He threw only.
Dude
he,
is
he
really
only
throwing.
needed one
He
hand.
only needs one.
Sojuro is throwing hands.
I want
Yep.
I want to see this shit animated.
This shit?
And
This
the
shit,
wolf-
this shit would go hard. Ufotable? Get on this shit.
I
Just
mean, there is
imagine
going to
like-
be a Witch on the Holy Night movie.
There is gonna be a
so-
Witch on the Holy Night movie. Please, you
I hope,
votable.
I hope we see that. Just imagine this image now, black and white, and in the wolf's perspective. Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this
No, I got it.
situation.
Well, I never grew up, so. He punched the werewolf in its chest with his feeble human strength.
Oh god.
Oh,
There was a dull thud and a burst of blood.
okay. We may have celebrated a bit too early.
Oh no.
It'll be fine. The twisted flesh and gore were also Jiro's own. The werewolf's raised claws convulsed. For an insignificant impact, the beast's body was the first to collapse, then his spirit. There was a moment of utter incomprehension. The wolf opened his jaw to try and pull air into his lungs. Gasping, he began to topple forward.
Literally punch the
slender
punch the
figure
air and the
slipped
spirit out of him.
around to his flank.
Oh my god.
Spin,
Oh
spin, spin.
my god.
Dude is wrecking his entire body, but
The next blow pierced him like a spear.
Oh no, he's gonna punch again.
Ignoring his mangled left arm, the silhouette whirled around, and drove his right elbow into the collapsed werewolf's back. There was another muffled impact.
holy shit.
Soujyuro
I really do be giving no
MVP.
shits.
Oh my god.
Soujyuro really be giving no shits.
Oh my god. I mean, truth be told, this is the first time he's actually ever been like injured
Mm-hmm.
throughout this entire thing.
And he
Yeah.
doesn't give a damn.
Like it he man is pure athleticism.
Man is purely.
He
mountain.
jumped so high that Alice literally thought he was flying.
Mm-hmm.
Man
He
is
ran
just
he
mountain.
ran literal miles to get to this
And-
moment, and he's still able to and he still has enough like energy left in him to fight.
And even Alice was like, how did he get to me so fast?
Yeah.
He's just pure athleticism.
He is
Dude.
just. He is Tarzan. This is
Dude is-
literally just Tarzan.
Dude is built so different.
So different.
I guess that's what that mountain life gets you.
The
He
second
traded
shot
his
penet-
intel stats for pure strength and stamina.
Oh my god. Can you imagine building him in D&D? He's just a pure fighter, no spells,
No spells. 20
no
strength.
weapons.
Unarmed
No, he would
fighting.
be a monk. No, he'd be a monk then, because it would just be just fighting, just hands.
Fair. I mean,
He would
fighters
just
do
be
get
throwing
fighters do
hands.
have like an unarmed strike, a fighting style too.
It's fair. He'd be a fighter monk.
Yeah. There we go.
No magic spells.
Because like at 20 levels, like monk gets like weird stuff.
That's fair.
The second strike penetrated to the exact same spot the first strike had, crushing the beast's heart.
What?
Holy crap.
This time, the blood that flew into the air belonged to the gaping wolf. The gasping wolf.
What?
He is taking down a phantasmal beast. The werewolf fell to the ground, choking on his own blood.
What the shit?
Ow! Ow! How the fuck? How the fuck did this
He
happen?
probably has taken down a rat. No, he's taken down rabid dogs before.
Yeah, he has.
Yeah.
But he was also
So he
scarred.
knows how a dog's body is built. So it doesn't.
Oh
so
my
even if it's
God.
larger, he knows how to take one down.
He's been. Are you
He's been
telling me
training for
that?
this moment.
He's been training with dogs in the mountains. This was his time to shine.
It's just a bigger bear.
It's just a big
A
dog.
bigger bear.
It's just a big dog.
He did not get out.
Holy crap. He's actually
Please.
dead. He's
Is he
actually just
actually-
dead.
he killed the werewolf god. with
Well,
just
we don't
two
know. We
punches.
don't know if it's dead yet. We don't know if it's dead yet.
At the very
I mean,
least.
might as
not-
well be. Might as well be. He wishes he was dead. He's wishing he's dead right now.
Oh my god.
This
He
is.
showed no sign of life.
Oh, he's dead. He's dead.
I mean,
It was over.
he crushed both of his arms, but like, he
Well,
got
we
it.
know
just
about
the
another
one. Just the
arm.
one. Just the one.
At least
know the
one.
one
At
arm.
least one.
Really big.
His elbow might be
There was no
might be
remorse.
pulverized. It's fine.
Fair. There was no remorse, no hesitation in that brief act of violence. The perfect, furious golden beast lay still,
Skill issue.
felding in a mere 3 seconds.
Imagine summon this guy as a berserker.
Oh my god, that'd be so good. No sane person would have bet on this outcome. Oh,
Holy
Damn. Damn.
Holy shit.
I want to take a picture of
Damn.
this.
This is so good.
This is so
This
good.
is some good shit. Now draw Kishi like that.
I'll draw Kishi like that.
Look at me. I'm the alpha dog.
That's the alpha dog.
And I got the collar to prove it.
Bruh.
My god. Soujyuro.
He's gonna get all the treats after this.
God, he's gonna be taken out.
That's
for,
my goat.
He's gonna be taken out for a 5-star meal.
His breathing calmed. The victor stood over the fallen behemoth's body.
なんで僕が
Oh, he's still alive.
How?
Still alive.
Good question.
Skill issue. Even as the beast lay crumpled in the snow, he could not grasp what had happened. His heart had ruptured, cutting the blood flow to his body and brain, leaving him helpless.
Holy crap. Dude stopped his
He-
heart.
If he's not dead right now, he's going to be in like 7 minutes.
That much he knew. If he were a normal creature, he would be dead. As it was, this was a trifling inconvenience.
What?
Once his heart was repaired, his body would heal as well.
Nah, dang.
It was not as if he had been struck by magecraft exceeding his own mystical nature. This was a little different from a grazed knee. Which is what was so strange. Your heart does not stop from a grazed knee.
思い出さないと
What did I do wrong? The werewolf frantically searched his memory. He managed to remember right up until the moment he raised his claw. But what had come after that? Given the right transformation, he knew he could withstand even a cannon blast. How had a puny human dropped him? Wait. Before that, he had to figure out exactly what his opponent did to him. The moment he got in close, yes, he felt a small impact. The attack was so accurate that it probably only affected his heart. Ridiculous. Even if that was possible, there was no way that alone could stop a werewolf's heart. In the end, no matter how much he thought about it, nothing added up. The answer was out of reach for a werewolf with no knowledge of being backed into a corner let alone the limits of human skill. Only one thing was certain. He had lost. He tried to piece together the sequence of events. The explosion in his chest, the flash of white. After that, as he was falling down, he took another blow to his back. That was the one that disrupted his heart. This can't be. There's no way I could lose. Indeed.
Soujyuro appeared in Thug Finals. This man won like the whole tournament set, and then Soujyuro was like, and then Soujyuro went up on stage, and then humiliated him in front of everyone at Evo. Get dunked on.
Absolutely get dunked on. It was physically impossible. The boy gnashed his teeth and tensed his body in indignation at this unfair conclusion. No, I know. None of this is real. No other werewolf would even manage to lay a claw on me. This pain, this whole situation isn't really happening. It makes no sense. Who on this planet could beat me? A mountain boy.
Oh, you gonna cry?
Pierced your
Enough
pants,
again.
maybe?
You gonna be a little piss boy? You gonna piss out the same color as your coat? He was ready. From the ground, he glared at his enemy to his side. I don't lose.
Not gonna lie, I didn't even think that would work. I didn't think I'd get this far.
I didn't think
I kind of planned on dying here, but hey, I'll take it. Arm's a little messed up. I can deal with that later.
We can amputate it, it's fine. The very next moment, an unknown type of pain coursed down his spine. It had eyes, cold eyes, staring, piercing, colorless. The moon looked more alive. Its arm was broken. Its inhumanly powerful tack had mangled them beyond recognition. If it was in pain, it would have cried out. But it was silent. Was it ever alive? Those dead eyes. He's seen eyes like those before. Those eyes without hatred, without joy, without any feeling behind them at all. It was a mindless insect. The werewolf's hair stood on end. What was this creeping chill crawling up his spine?
Yeah, well, you compared me to an insect, so I'd say that's the malaria setting in.
Having never experienced fear, the werewolf did not know what had become of him.
I just said, malaria.
Despite countless clashes against other mystics, it had been a human that broke him. He knew beasts even larger than himself. He knew legendary creatures like himself. He did not know this. He'd never met, much less imagined, a human-sized bug. The chill down the werewolf's spine was so vicious, threatened to split him in two. If he moved even an inch, it would crush his skull underfoot. In spite of the despair gripping him, the boy paradoxically sensed that his opponent would not move at all. This human would exhibit no further violence. It was a creature, no, a stone, that held no animal instincts. It masqueraded as a human.
Is he a homunculus?
No, he doesn't have the white hair.
Okay. What if he died?
Or red eyes. Or red
What if he
eyes.
had contacts?
Yeah,
If
the
he had
white hair,
contacts?
no white hair, no red eyes. So
I don't
Uh,
think he would know how to put colored contacts in.
That's fair. That's
And also, I'm sure the girls would have found them and thought they were weird and questioned them. So. The contradiction graded against his heart, his values. A phantom pain born of an unknown emotion. Fear. It wasn't just grating. It was like it was like many needles slowly digging into his heart. This had been his first taste of doubt of reality. Such contradictions existed in the world, after all. They were irrationalities and questions you did not want to hear the answers to. It hurts. The suppressed pain suddenly flowed through his body like a raging river. This was also a first. Until now, he'd always been able to control pain. He had never known what it was like to tremble. An elemental might have even felt sorry for him, if it were here to watch. How sad, born complete, yet lost in the lunacy of the human world. It hurts so much! His heart had fully regenerated.
Oh, that's why it hurts.
Howling in mental agony, the beast clutched his own trembling body. Those eyes, those human eyes looking straight through him. And then, the boy realized the only reason he was still alive. Even with both arms broken, the human could have finished him off with his legs. But it mattered not. Because his opponent was giving him a taste of his own medicine. This was not revenge for trying to kill him. This was revenge for the wounds he inflicted on the girls. The absurdity of it all made his throat tighten. His breathing was frantic. This human had no sense of self. It had no concern for its own safety when it stood between him and the girls.
this is like Captain Hammer experiencing pain for the first time. Except
Yes,
it's actually might be lethal.
Yes. Rather than just like, ow, it pinched my finger.
It's,
He's
oh,
running
my
away
heart
like a little
stopped
girl.
and I'm paralyzed.
Yeah.
And now my heart
in
has grown
reality.
back.
And now
with
my heart
the-
has grown
with
back
my
and
heart-
I've realized, oh, he could have killed me. He let me live.
Mm-hmm.
He's letting me live to suffer. I see how it is.
Mm-hmm. That must be why it had no hate or fear, or perhaps even intent to kill him.
Hell, he's referring to Soujyuro as an it. That's how much he's fearing him.
Yeah.
Good lord.
Not even a human. Not even a human at this point. Just a creature.
He's just
Just a creature.
It's an
an it.
entity. An entity of fear for this for this boy.
Indeed, the fact that he was alive had nothing to do with the human's will. The fight was machine-like. So was its judgment. An eye for an eye, and nothing more.
Machine-like. There's another character referred to as a machine.
Oh god. If the werewolf had killed one of the girls, this exchange would have ended differently. If I'd killed them, would I have been killed?
Yes,
Yes.
without question.
He shuddered at the thought. He had never
Way up to this.
entertained such a possibility. He had never had to, because he was supposed to be the one exception to that rule. Agony kicked him hard in the gut. No matter the mystic, nothing was immune from injury, from decay. The boy finally understood an obvious law of the world. Or rather, he had been taught.
Why you discipline kids, people?
He would have killed me. I know it. Those eyes, they would not stop staring down at him. Retribution was a universal law. He was now painfully aware of that fact.
Very painfully.
And yet, the one who brought form to this idea was this human. The pain of defeat, the pain in his heart, the pain of comprehending the incomprehensible. Pain, pain, pain. The impossibility of it all had shattered his perfect world. It ate at him, consumed every fiber of his being. The doubt made his head spin. It was too much. Humans were impossible to understand. I'd have been killed. I'd have been killed. He had not been made to face the death of another, but his own. Unable to cope, he reverted to his human form. Quietly. He shivered like a frightened child in his mother's lap.
We get to adopt them.
Still lying in the snow, Alco choked on her words. Unable to entirely comprehend what had just unfolded.
That makes two of them.
I think everyone here has no comprehension of anything that happened.
Soujyuro, you...
Hell, Soujyuro probably didn't even think that would work.
He's just trying his best.
She could not hide the trembling in her voice.
Nani?
Yeah, what?
What the fuck? Shut the fuck up, you stupid man. Really?
Yeah, what's up?
That's simple. That fucking simple fucking simple voice. What the hell?
Speaking in
Your
his usual
arm
voice, Soujyuro...
is pulverized. Your elbow is pulverized. How do you not feel anything right now?
Speaking in his usual way, Soujyuro nonchalantly turned towards her.
何って今自分が何をしたか分かってんの
What do you mean, what? Do you even know what you just did?
I
You
punched
killed a
him,
child.
and then I elbowed him in the back.
And my arm kind of is numb.
My arm don't work right now, but we can deal with that in a bit.
At the church. She shouted angrily as though he had done something wrong.
Wait a sec. His arm's fixed.
Soujyuro looked surprised. No, I'm sure it's very much not word.
But it's not bloody anymore.
Surprised. Well, they only have so many sprites, Frank.
That's fair, that's fair.
Wondering what on earth he had done to upset her.
Sorry about that.
He lowered his gaze back to the wolf boy. Knitting his brows in dismay, Soujyuro finally realized what Alko was referring to.
Oh yeah, right that. Oh, that's weird, Aozaki. I thought you knew. I punched him. And then I elbowed him. It's not that complicated.
What do you mean? I thought you knew. What did he think we knew?
Everyone saw it.
Everyone saw.
Okay, so I guess my werewolf theory has been destroyed. God damn it.
He looked
It's
at
much
her in
cooler, though.
disappointment.
Disappointed.
Same.
Come on.
Same. I'm disappointed in you.
No. Do what? What are you talking about?
I punched him and then I elbowed him. These are not like complex concepts like magecraft and true magic and all that.
This is hit.
This is hit.
And punch. And elbow. Feeling slightly affronted, Alko responded curtly.
Where's Toko?
Soujyuro sighed. Oh, she's still, like, standing there with sigils in the back, just being all like, wait. Soujyuro sighed.
You know, bears are actually pretty common in the mountains. Oh my god.
So he did fight wolves and bears.
He equated fighting a werewolf to fighting
Not
a
just any
bear.
werewolf. Not just any werewolf, but a
That is-
werewolf god, essentially.
That is the apex of werewolves.
The phantasmal beast of werewolves. And he treated it like a bear.
Remember me telling you that?
Dumbass.
Huh? Alko's jaw dropped. It took her a moment to process what he had just said. She recalled some meaningless conversation or another from who knows when.
Oh, by the way, I fought a bear once. It was kind of funny.
Once, just multiple times. They kept going into his trash, so he had to fend
Yes.
them off.
Is she making fun of me? Don't ridiculous. Why would anyone train to fight bears?
He doesn't train, he just does.
Yes.
He just
Now
does.
she thought about it. They had spoken about that. Had they really? He mentioned being familiar with large beasts. And she couldn't deny that she'd heard him utter some anachronistic nonsense about training to deal with them. Which meant he was used to dealing with animals larger than himself. If he'd lived the sort of life that involved run-ins with wild bears, then a man-wolf might only have been surprising, but not particularly frightening. Alko hung her head. After all this time, who was it that really made no sense? Okay, you win this one, Soujyuro.
Well, I sure hope so. Look at
He's
him.
on the floor. He's kind of like a ball right now. It was hard to tell whether she spoke in admiration or exasperation.
It could be both.
Either way, as she slouched in the snow, Alko spoke quietly enough so only she could hear her words. Toko, on the other hand, understood exactly what had transpired. Bayo lay fallen, now just a sobbing boy.
Damn.
And another boy stood over him with 2 shattered arms. Near fatally wounded, Alco and Alice still could not stand, but had recovered enough to breathe. As for Toko, she had only a few tricks up her sleeve, maybe 3 or 4 more runes at best. The magic crests on her back were unusable. She could use the remaining magical energy from the field imprisoning her grandfather, but that would be stupid. If she released her grandfather, she would lose ownership of the sacred ground. Failing to defeat Alco and Alice now would mean starting over from square one, and she could not afford that. The sibling rivalry had to end. Toko had gambled everything on her surprise attack. Using the fact she was still Naozaki to infiltrate Misaki's defenses. For 3 years she had labored, selling her work to the association. And she had used 20 years' worth of hair to mobilize an army of familiars. It was now or never. But I failed. She had overestimated the werewolf's power. It should have been enough. Against mages alone, Beowulf by himself would have been enough to ensure complete victory. But things did not always go according to plan. Beo's incredible strength was conditional. She knew he was not infallible, so why hadn't she prepared a contingency plan? Her heart as cold as ice, Toko stared at Soujyuro, who stood tall.
Hey, remember me? It's me. I'm back. I punched your dog. Sorry about that.
His arms were a hideous mess. The arm he used to strike Beo, head on, barely even resembled an arm.
Yeah, the dog kind of punched back a little bit.
His bones were bent out of shape. His muscles were torn to shreds. To say his arm was simply broken would be a gross understatement. Streams of crimson ran down his other arm, onto the white snow. The elbow he drove into Beo's back was likely shattered, and his muscle and tendons torn up to his shoulder. Judging from the state of his arms, it was doubtful he would be able to use them again. Worse than his arms were his left leg, and no doubt his internal organs too. He used the leg to take the full brunt of Beo's charge. At a glance, it looked fine, but it was now just a useless hunk of meat attached to his torso. His insides were worse. Supporting the weight of Beo had ruptured his spine, causing widespread internal bleeding.
Damn.
Our boy's gonna fucking die. Basically, he was a dead man standing.
Ah, Adam.
Great. Love it. A bird with clipped wings.
Oh.
Living like that would not be living at all. He could barely stand, let alone fight again. In contrast, the collapsed werewolf was unscathed. Only once had he coughed up blood. The majority of the pool of red on the snow was Soujyuro's. A crimson tapestry telling the story of the boy who stood strong and defeated a werewolf. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. You strike, and you face the consequences, especially if you hit a werewolf. It would be like punching a moving freight train. Did he... Perhaps he had known what would happen. Animals instinctively limit their strength in order to protect their bodies. Compensating for physical weakness with intelligence and technique was humanity's forte, and the clash had shown humans at their very best, and yet it had also been beyond human. He had attacked without concern for his own safety. Without self-preservation in mind, he could go beyond human capacity. Enough to strike through the steel steel-like fur of a legendary werewolf. But who would have thought that a beast able to withstand a shot from a tank would be felled by a mere human? No, that's not right. Boy didn't break because he struck without hesitation. He struck knowing he was going to break. He sacrificed his entire body to destroy Bao's heart. Toko felt a chill come over her as she went over to her head with what transpired. It should have been a nightmarish scene, but she was captivated by that supreme display of physical rationality. From the outside looking in, she had witnessed not an accident, but a rational consequence. In that instant, the boy had put his entire being into piercing Bao's chest. As soon as he laid eyes on Alco and Alice, he had committed himself fully to the task. He sized Bao up, synchronized his breathing, found his weak point, and calculated the exact position, timing, and distance he would need to hold his ground. He knew what he had to do to win, and did it with everything he had.
Do you think that Soujyuro could only beat Bao if he was, like, in wolf form?
No.
You think not?
No, because it said the moment he saw him.
Fair enough, yeah.
So I think even, because I mean, like, I'm sure that he could still synchronize the breathing. It actually probably might have been easier if he was a child.
Probably. It might have been, it might also be, I mean,
larger mass to hit, it's a bunch of things, but I feel like he had a better chance if he was in wolf form, but also he probably could have done it if he was still a kid.
yeah,
But
probably.
He probably would have, but in the same vein, to get him into the wolf form, he got Bao really riled up and such. So I feel like there was some lack of forethought on Bao's part too. So it's like there's a lot of factors.
Fair.
It had nothing to do with instinct. A wild creature would not have tried to beat something it could not. Only a human would risk his life when faced with the impossible. The contradiction felled his attack. He twisted his body from his heel to his neck to focus his energy. Hold on. Frank, did you make this meme?
Yes, I made both of them.
Okay. Who would win? Toko, a high-class mage capable of non-Euclidean magical traps who spent 20 years growing her hair out to make an unyielding army of flesh puppets and was able to tame a goddamn alpha shiny wolf, or a funny mountain boy.
Look at that funny mountain boy. He's so funny.
I also love the one above it where it's Beowulf after mauling Alice and Alco, Soujyuro behind him standing menacingly. Anyways, if Bao had simply tried to run Soujyuro down, the werewolf would probably have won. But the beast wanted to rip him to shreds. Or rather, he was baited into doing so.
You baited.
After Bayo charged, when he planted his feet, he raised his claw, then swung in downward, putting himself off balance. His pulse was erratic, his movements wild. In that moment, he was vulnerable. It was when Soujyuro made his move. The beast had overwhelming power, but it was sloppy. Whereas the human concentrated all of his meager power into a single point. That was how the human shifted the balance in his favor. The follow-up elbow attack had ruptured Bayo's heart. It was a graceless second strike. A sloppy blow no different from Bayo's. The elbow was only able to penetrate the beast's golden fur because the first attack to his chest. It left Bayo wide open. Took away his invincibility for a split second. Basically. The strike was not meant to break, but to disable. All living creatures had weaknesses. No matter how strong the creature, it had weak points and weak moments. Not just physically, but mentally too. A time when they aren't in their best shape. Unable to focus or find motivation. Sickness or lack of sleep or food, for example, can cause the body's rhythm to go out of sync. For a variety of reasons, beings risk losing their ability to function properly. Legendary beasts were no exception. Weakness. I know some magecraft that targets weaknesses, but I've never heard of a technique that risks everything to create a weakness. The boy's strike to the heart was not an attempt to kill Bayo. It was designed to create a weakness in something that had none. The elbow attack took advantage of that break in Bayo's invulnerability. Laughable. It wasn't even a surprise attack. With Bayo's reflexes, he should have been able to react. But he didn't even realize he was being attacked. How do you teach that? How do you teach that even something non-threatening can be a threat? She was frustrated, to say the least. The boy was totally committed, utterly selfless. He bet his life on a single moment without expecting a single thing in return. That boy had acquired the experience and skill to do such a thing. It was not a miracle of luck. Not a miracle of passion. It was not talent, tenacity, or hatred. Without constant, intense training, no one could destroy their own body on a whim like that. He made a poor opportunity. He made a poor opponent for a child. Seeing Bayo cowering in the snow, Toko was disappointed in her own lack of foresight. She had seen him and she had used him for his talent alone, ignoring his inexperience. If Bayo was not a child, his life experience might have given him the strength to bounce back and devour Soujyuro after regenerating. Should I scold you, Bayo, or praise you? Toko quietly lifted her left hand. Nobody noticed. Standing far away, the boy standing there looks like a hunter from a picture book. He had a slender build, but that was likely because he initially shed any excess. Given what she just witnessed, His cluelessness had to be part of an act, the act of a hunter. As she thought to herself, she suddenly remembered. The first thing that crossed her mind the first time they spoke.
そうだったな。
I remember now.
だが、それは忘れ
And
てい
how
た
I
か
was
った
so
よ。
wanted to forget,
Soujyuro.
dear Soujyuro. No sooner had she felt a slither of sentiment, she returned to her unshakable resolve. She was raised as the heir to the Awasaki household, taught never to question the morality of her actions. That was why, even now, she knew exactly what she had to do.
でも、よかった。
I'm glad that went well.
Soujyuro muttered, unmoving, perhaps of the pain in his broken arms.
Ouch.
He did not look at Elko. Instead, his gaze was focused on Alice, who was lying prone some ways away. Elko thought he looked lonely.
よかったって何がよ。
That went well? What did? She asked, spurring him on. They were mere steps from each other, close enough to touch hands. Their quiet voices carried in the stillness.
私たちが無事だったから。なんて言ったら
Don't you
怒
dare
るわ
say
よ
you're happy we're alive, or I'll be so pissed. She was not joking. Soujyuro turned from her slightly, shaking his head.
口にするのは3度目
I'll
だ
say
け
it a
ど
third time,
青崎
but
の
I'm
心
not
配
worried
はして
about your
いないんだ
safety, Ozaki.
いや、さっき
You
は
know,
ちょっと
I could swear I blacked out for I could swear I blacked out back just there for a moment.
He said as an embarrassed smile crossed his face. The first time, he outright fainted. But the second time, his passion punched the dizziness and nausea aside. He just calmly did what he could, as best he could. Nevertheless, no matter how calm he tried to be, deep within festered a very real rage.
ふん。じゃあ何が良かったのよ、宗十郎。
Okay, Soujyuro. What does you think went so well? Alko's voice had a slight tinge of annoyance. Soujyuro responded.
だって、ようやく約束が守れた。
Because I was finally able to keep
そ
my
っちだけが
promise.
約束を守ってるのに。
You held up your end of
こ
the
っち
deal,
は果たせなかっただ
but
ろ
I hadn't delivered yet.
それがずっと気になってい
It
たん
always
だ。
bothered me.
その機会
I'm
に
so glad I got the chance to set things straight.
His relief expressed itself as a small but heartfelt smile. Alko listened, astonished. For a moment, she could not recall what promise Soujyuro was talking about. When she remembered what he was talking about, what she had told him all the time ago in the amusement park, her mind went blank.
あいつをやっつけるのに協力
If I
した
agree
ら
to if I agree to help you kill that thing, will you let me go?
He proposed the deal, but it was the end he hadn't been any use. Must have been eating away at him this entire time. Alko had considered the agreement binding, binding, but only for herself.
あんなどうでもいいことを。
You were worried about that? She muttered in disbelief. Soujyuro gave a nod and affirmed with a tiny voice.
約束は自分のために果たすものだって。
You're the one who taught me that promises are things to make to yourself, Ozaki.
だから、
As long as you
君が
keep your
守っ
word,
ている限り、
I need to
俺
keep
も守
mine.
らないといけない。はあ、ずっと
What a
俺
weight
は
off
そう
my
したかったん
shoulders.
だ。
As if listening to a confessional, Alko stayed silent. She could not find the words to say anything. Soujyuro proved ever the enigma. Taking such a trivial promise so seriously and speaking so sincerely about something so basic. She could not wrap her head around how he had beaten a werewolf, but his personality? That was the true mystery. It was no use trying to figure that out now. To Aoko Aozaki, he was a riddle wrapped in an enigma, wrapped in a conundrum. That's a lot of rapping.
So, I've paid my dues. We're even, Aozaki.
Soujyuro said lightly, perhaps attempting to break the silence. Normally, this would have passed her by, but she knew his kindness for what it was. It's me who owes you one now. I don't even know how to begin to pay you back, Aoko grumbled. Soujyuro nodded in happy agreement.
I mean, technically he didn't kill the werewolf yet, so you know, still binding, still binding.
Anyway, your leg looks a lot better. Can you stand?
The poor boy.
You got it?
Yep.
I thought you wanted to get that one.
Yeah. She shot him a stubborn look, as if to say, well, duh, obviously. Ever amazed by her grit, he offered her his right hand. Despite being broken at the elbow, Aoko had looked as sturdy as ever. All by appearances, it was beyond recovery, and would be for the rest of his life. Even so, he seemed able to ignore the pain for Aoko's sake. You really are hopeless.
But that arm is just gone. There's no way to bring that back.
Neither of them. Neither of his arms. And probably, no, he's just gonna die after this. Unless they do some magical magecraft bullshit and save his entire being, all of his limbs are gonna need to be amputated.
You got
Except
one
for
leg.
maybe one leg, yeah. She uttered under her breath, looking up at him. As much as she hated to admit, she could not refuse his hand. I swear to God, if this boy dies, one, I'm gonna start crying, and two, I don't know if I'll be able to finish the game.
I mean, he looks fine. All he had was just one broken arm, right?
He has 2 broken arms and a broken leg.
And the rupturing of all of his
Insides.
internal organs.
Oh, right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
He's got a lot of internal bleeding, but it's okay because that's where all the blood is supposed to be.
He's gonna die. He's gonna die.
Don't say that, don't say that, don't say that, don't say that.
I hope he doesn't die. I hope he doesn't die.
Resigning herself, she reached out to Soujyuro. Oh, I want this one too. This is really cute.
Her hand never reached his. What?
Oh, right, because Atoko's doing some bullshit. I got it.
Alright, cool.
But her hand never reached his. A small bell chimed. He's dead. He's straight. Oh my god. A line of wind whipped through the air. It cut through his waist like a guillotine.
Oh no! Oh, oh no! Oh no! Oh my god!
That's
They did not fucking do this. They did not. What the? No!
You guys
No,
good?
they better do some. No,
I need to.
I need water. I need water.
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back.
I'm gonna get up for a bit.
I think we all just need a collective moment.
Hi, B.
You good, B?
He's still in the bathroom.
Oh, I thought I heard
Hi.
you come back.
Hi, B.
You
No,
good, B?
no.
Oh, no, that's- oh,
it's
you're
fine. I have a plush triceratops with me now, so we're fine. We're fine.
He's alive. I know it.
I'm gonna need to talk to Nasu. I'm gonna need him to put his home address in the comments. Cause I'm gonna need to have a fucking talk with this man.
Remember to like and subscribe.
Like,
Hey,
I'm-
viewers,
put your home address
do you
and
know-
dox yourself in the comments below.
Yeah, only Nasu.
And
Only Nasu
most
needs to do it.
importantly, not Nasu. Come on, give us his deets, give us his credit card information, give us his address, give us exactly where
Zip.
he lives and
Give
who
us his
That's
exactly
name.
he
IP
is.
address. Give us his name.
Give us his specifically his credit card so I can buy Saints Quartz off of that bullshit money he's making for killing our boy.
And if you
It'd
happen
be
to
like a-
find his birth certificate, that would be very swell too.
Anyways, pieces begin
Let's
to
just-
fall. Our boy is dead.
He's not.
He's dead. He's dead because there's no way that they're going to be able to stitch him back together like they did on Alco. And if they do, it's not going to be the same boy. They're going to have to factory reset him, and it's going to be fine.
I don't care if they factory reset him. At least he'll be around. Also, they haven't even mentioned his neck again. That's gonna come into some way or form. It has to.
We
They're
never
gonna have
found
to
out what
address
was
that.
underneath the goddamn bandages.
Exactly. So maybe they'll do that right now after this. Maybe they'll help.
Maybe
they'll
they're
be
in
the
the
key.
side
Anyways,
stories
let's
with
do
the penguin.
it. God damn
What were
it.
those
Okay,
things
Where's the
dropping
pe-
before her
Where's the
eyes?
penguin after this?
Don't worry about it. It's fine.
What were those things dropping before her eyes? Alku could not remember who they belonged to. So... That used to be his name, right? The name of whoever lay in the red snow in front of her. His face was rested on the ground beneath her chin. The smell of viscera assaulted her nostrils. A river of blood flowed from what used to be a stomach. It happened so fast. Too fast for her mind to process, in fact. Her only solace was he probably did not suffer. How could she think that so calmly, especially after what she had witnessed? Her blood boiled at her own stupidity. Which begged the question. How should she treat the one who did this? If she doesn't kill her sister,
I will.
I will. I don't know how I will, but I will go into the source code and I will delete all of her sprites.
You're gonna
Pull a
do the
Monica.
Monica.
Like, pull a
yes.
Monica on her ass.
Just delete.
I will be just Monica.
Just Soujyuro.
Just only
reach
Soujyuro.
into the screen and grapple this woman by her neck and fucking twist it until it tears off her body.
She had used all of her anger on herself. She had none left to give anyone else. This hatred was hers and hers alone. Her problem with this, could she muster the emotions from this drought of anger? She was not sure, but the thought of hunting them down made her smile unconsciously in anticipation.
Well, we'll
Alka
say this
turned to the
for
old
real.
school building, where Toko was standing with her arms out in front of her. She had used the same rune magecraft she used against Alco and Alice, except Soujyuro had no magic crests. Toko's amber eyes were narrowed,
staring intensely at the fallen corpse. As to what she might have been feeling, Alko could not care less. Even if Toko felt regret, Alko would never forgive her for as long as she drew breath.
やはり君からこうしておくべきだったな。
I should have killed you when I had the chance. Toko was not speaking to Alko, but to the dead body. There was no response. No clouds of breath. Coming to terms that he was truly dead, Alko pushed herself up to her feet.
I don't trust this narrator.
案外無様ね。
That was surprisingly gruesome for you. Facing her sister in the distance, Alko spoke hoarsely.
でも正しい選択だわ。
But you
これ
made
で
the right
勝負の
choice.
やり直しだもの。
Now we can finish this. She turned away from Soujyuro and stared at Alko. They stood far apart. Farther apart than their positions made them seem. Though there was nothing left to say, the two of them exchanged words in respect of the fact that they were once sisters.
ああ。魔術刻印という私の
You've
切り
seen the
札
aces
は
of
こ
my
の通り
sleeve,
で
my
人
magic
狼という
crusts,
カードも
and the
お前の
werewolf
切り
you've
札の
trumped.
前に敗れ去った。だがそちらも
I've
刻印を
used all my
使い切
crests
り
up,
彼も
and
今
your
生き
trump
絶え
card's been torn to pieces.
た。互いに決定打はなくなったわけだ。
Stalemate.
そうね。私も甘かった。
Looks that way.
人狼が再起不
I
能にな
suppose I
った
was
時点
naive
で
too.
あ
I
な
should
た
have
が
known
敗
you
北を
wouldn't
認め
accept
たなんて
defeat
勝手
after
に
your
思い上が
werewolf
るの。
failed.
本来ならそうなるんだけど
If you weren't so stubborn,
あなたが
you'd
そんな
never
に
have
諦
come
めが
back
いい
to
のなら
Misaki.
この町に戻ってきはしないものね。本当に甘かった。
I really was naive. It was clear to Toko that Alko was trying to suppress her emotions. Alko was right, though. The sister had counted on Beowulf to succeed. As mages, no matter what cards Alko or Alice had at their hands, they were helpless against the werewolf. But then, Soujyuro had shown up, and Toko couldn't win as long as he was around. Unfortunately, though, he had stopped the werewolf. He had been defenseless against a mage. So she had to kill him. With Soujyuro out of the way, no one could hold Beo back. It would take time for him to recover, but as long as his wounds were only mental, they could be overcome. Alice and Alko could try to attack again, but before he recovered, but Alice was being kept in check by the poison, so Toko still had the advantage. Stalemate still. The battle would drag on. Unless Alko were to use it. Powdery snow began to whirl around. The air around her wailed. It was magecraft that transcended all that was mystical. The gate to miracles beyond human comprehension, ready to show itself.
やる気のようね。
You always did love to fight, Alko. Toko released the crest maintaining the fields. With that, her grandfather would be freed, and the barriers around Misaki would be restored. Which is not what Toko wanted, but it was that or forfeit her life. The crests at her disposal were now twice as powerful as her sister's. Alko Mako gazed at this new threat, with her eyes half closed. None of this was her concern. Far removed from the situation, she was searching for something hidden deep inside her, desperate to reach it.
Is it time?
There it was, an odd feeling, like picking an what?
Algae, I
Algae?
think.
Okay, 1 second. I need to open up my settings really quickly. It's me settings. Where is it? Nope, that's the wrong fucking thing. I'm stupid.
Oh, hi, Yuki.
Yes, Yuki joined us.
Bee's suffering. I'm
Yeah.
kind of suffering.
We're having good fun here. I can't see what you're typing, because I have to read, and also record.
Hello.
And I'm
No. Yeah.
I am currently holding
A man was cut in
my
half.
I'm holding my plush Triceratops to level myself from either crying or screaming, because it is 2 a.m. So
You're not allowed to suffer. I forbid it. Witch on the Holy Night doesn't care about that.
Yeah. It's okay.
All right.
Anyways, they're picking at algae. It was not the fire of emotion. It was not solid nor great. It must have been people. It must have been what people meant by rising to the occasion. Abandoning thought itself, Alko held on to that feeling as she stared at her enemy.
いいわよ、トウコ。
All right, Toko. She spoke softly, yet more loudly than a scream.
お望み通り。
You want
本
true
当の魔
magic?
法を見せてあげる。
You've got it. Focusing her power into the dim crest on her right arm, she weaved the words together. A single incantation. A final, heartfelt farewell. A brilliant blue-colored magic, taking time back to when a certain someone had been blessed. To put it simply, magecraft is human wisdom. It is the world as we know it. Magic is the singularity that exists between either of those, beyond either of those. At the beginning, the first changed all. Next, the second recognized many. In answer, the third showed the future. Tethered, the fourth concealed itself. And the final fifth, had long since lost its significance.
What?
Is this how the world came to be? Is that what this is? On the first day and then God rested type shit?
No, it's talking about the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth magics. Hang on.
Oh.
I know what the first. I know what the second and third are.
What's
I have
the fifth?
no idea what they're talking about. I think the fifth is this, but since I'm British.
Hey, after we finish this game and cry about it, we can watch that one video. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. It'll make us feel better. Someone once said, had it only ended at the third. Magecraft is the study of history. Feats of our making and life orbiting the planet. But true magic is the providence of a god beyond the heavens. Why do those who stand on the earth extol the virtues of miracles beyond humankind and the planet? This was an undeniable sin. Magic was the enemy of humanity. That was why. Those who obtain a new magic are killed by the Red Shadow.
Oh, I haven't seen you in a while.
I haven't seen you since
万物の霊長
the amusement park. Hear me, prime species of all creation. Alco's voice resonated through and high above the winter skies. The air began the fracture. Do you know what I just fucking realized?
What?
Sojuro's the cat. I mean, not actually, but like metaphorically.
The cat?
At the beginning, the one that she went to her grandfather and he told her what is dead cannot be revived.
Oh. Oh.
It's like that.
Damn.
Metaphor. Turning the scenery to broken glass. Tight move? Broken glass time?
Welcome back, Frank. You're just in time to witness true magic.
Damn, oh, it's finally happening. Okay. This
Toko
bitch
wondered.
deserves it.
Toko wondered whether she should flee or fight. She decided to try and keep her feelings in check and see this through.
Yeah, she did.
The object of her obsession for so many years was right in front of her, rationality slipping from her grasp. But of their fates were now uncertain. Both of their fates were now uncertain. Fuck. Toko had an overwhelming advantage when it came to her crests and the terrain. When it came to true magic, however, if the Aozaki magic was anything like Alice Kawanji's fairy tale monsters, then mage strength was not a part of the equation. At this point, it was Toko against magic itself. And there was no winning against truth. The transcendence and
Idiosyncrasy.
idiosyncrasy of true magic rendered things like magecraft irrelevant.
だが
But can you? Toko stared at her sister, wondering if she could actually use it. Her proclamation lacked conviction. She had raised her voice, but that was out of discipline. It had not been the arrogant conviction to sacrifice someone else for her own gain. Having not been chosen to inherit it, Toko could not imagine what the magic in her sister was. Only that it was a force violent enough to change the world.
In fact, I still haven't made it through the first episode of Fate Zero. It's too long.
Poor
It-
Yuki.
Hey, Yuki, how about after we finish this, we finish the Zero episode with you? That'd be nice. Bonding. No human mind could withstand the audacity required to make an enemy of the world itself. Especially not someone as indecisive as her sister. The power of magic would surely cripple her. Well, feeling Toko's eyes on her, Alko doubted herself. She could not help but hesitate.
For the first time ever, I guess.
Terror gripped her heart tightly.
でもだからって
I have to. She could not run away forever. Her hesitation and terror meant she would never forgive herself for stopping now. Closing her eyes, she pushed herself into the final stage. Time stopped, like a light being switched off.
Is the fifth magic time travel?
She submerged herself in her own darkness. Everything froze, only she moved.
Holy crap.
We use time
No way.
travel to wind back time.
I
and
don't
keep
think it's
Soujyuro
time.
from dying?
I don't think it's time travel. I think it's time manipulation. If time is freezing, that's not her going forward or backward in time, it's her freezing time. Everything around her disappeared as she passed a limitless stream of stars. As soon as she did, she wanted to disappear into the empty thoughtlessness place she arrived in without any answers. Not again. The red shadow will surely come this time. Suddenly, I saw a new memory. Possibly because I used another to make the trade for... You trying to put in the letters?
I think, magic? Magic.
I heard a familiar yet new sound.
I thought a train was going off, but there is, but it's on my end, not in the game.
Wait a second, this is familiar.
Wish for nothing.
I wish for nothing. I seek nothing. Only to fuse with the consciousness that hurtles backward in time to zero. The sound.
Fate zero?
The bitter, sad meaninglessness pulls me by my hair. But I have to resist. The red ghost was always going to be my biggest hurdle. I must forget the value of life. I must forget the dignity of death. The sound persists. It's got nothing to do with this journey. It's just an external distraction. And yet, I think I finally understand. I know what noise has been making me so uneasy. What the? The unsettling whispers were directed at me. Or perhaps the red shadow was perplexed by the quiet soul listening to it.
Medea.
It glares at me, its eyes full of hatred. How could it be so unprepared? Don't tell me. You can't be serious. You're going to turn me into your prey for that? This is your everything. You have nothing else. The effect of rewinding. The decision to never say never.
By the way, the red text, I'm not making that appear. Where when it appears it auto scrolls.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Oh god.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, I was not pressing any buttons there.
Yeah, this. Someone's taking over the game.
Monica. His prime, his meaningless life. She negated it. She used her superior power to negate the sound which was an absolute rule to him. Just brushed it aside like it was a cobweb. The sound disappeared. A new one replaced it. I wish for nothing. I want nothing. A pure, obedient heart. That's why you get nothing. A life of falsehood, led by affirmation. This is ridiculous. My legs move toward the future, but they stop. Change of plans. I'm taking a different path. Nothing's changed. It's just something has made me real mad. How can I put it? You call this the past, you idiot? If I don't complain about something to someone, I'll explode. Even if it's just to the voice, or to he who hears it. Or to the part of me who just stays quiet and watches. Or to the one who did that to him. With no answer, I open my eyes. I declare. Alko released everything she had dragged up. As for what was there, or what she saw, she could not remember.
Yeah, I couldn't. I don't know what it was.
Unlimited
Look
blade
like
works?
mountains.
All she held on to was the fury that burned in her heart. Pushed on by something, she didn't know what, she opened the door to magic. The change was extraordinary.
Get her ass, Alco.
Beneath her, the snow vanished, replaced by a small patch of lush green grass. This ground had never existed under the frozen blanket. It had been rewritten to a new landscape. The very elements rejected her, as if the world itself was fighting back.
That's probably because it is.
Tends to do that. The electrical discharge lashed at her body. This miracle threatened to destroy the world. The world had to protect itself. It moved to expunge her.
Yeah. Yeah, it does that sometimes.
It does do that. Pain scorched her every cell, trying to tear away her consciousness.
This violin is going off.
But she did not falter. It really is, by the way. All this pain and this loneliness was to take her to the root. Ever since inheriting true magic, she had suffered this torture time and time again. She contended against the voiceless protest of the cosmos. The burden engulfed her retinas and nerves in flames. And then, blank. She finally understood. She remembered why she came back and what she wanted to scream. By the name of Blue, I speak for order. Hear me. A censuring voice told her to stop. At the edges of oblivion, her hands touched the true form of magic. The snarling red shadow was there, telling her it was no use. So much doubt, so much fear. But such things meant nothing to her. To me. I don't care about a magician's obligation or the destruction of mankind. I'm sick and tired of hearing about it. I only have one reason for doing anything right now. God, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. I just want to save him.
Boy.
The boy!
All is not sane, yet all shall be right. A blue whirlwind whisked up around her. Oh my god, wait, he's literally the cat. Wait, no. I was.
He's
oh my
the
god.
mulch
Oh my
cat
god.
from the intro!
No, like literally, because she brought the cat to her grandfather who was a magician, and he said, no, what's dead is dead, and she's like, bullshit. she's calling bullshit on that right now.
Yo.
Soldier's
Casting
coming
us-
back. Come on,
Well,
Soldier's
we don't
coming
know. Well,
back.
we don't know. Do not get your hopes up. Do not.
Okay.
I'm probably gonna start crying anyways, but like, we just need to just calm down. Casting aside her doubt and sorrow, the magician played her trick upon the world. Ooh.
Reality marble? Oh no, sorry.
I mean, time flowed backward. Oh my god, she's literally.
Oh my god. Whoa, oh,
Okay, I guess we're traveling through time.
hands are off the buttons.
Was this fun?
You going back to Stone Age?
Childhood memories were
This is
overwritten.
why-
Okay, I'm in control again. Oh my god.
Her hair, her hair, her hair, her hair. It's time. White flowers appeared as far as the eye could see.
Time for her noble phantasm.
Brighter than snow, they rippled like a wave across the world, devouring it. The cool
Oh, damn.
outfit!
Her hair turns red!
Timeless. Wow.
5 timeless words. Order has fallen to ruin. What was declared had come to be. In this time and place alone, the 5th magic made itself known. So it is time. So it's just time manipulation in general. Or
Guess so.
like pausing. In the blink of an eye, the snowy clearing had transformed. A sea of fully bloomed white flowers blanketed the grounds. Only the dilapidated school building and the bare winter trees signified this was the original world. The once cold wind now blew with a pleasant warmth across the landscape. Even the night sky was once again teeming with stars. If one reached out, one could almost touch them. It was a mix of comfort and solitude, quiet enough to carry the sound of insects flying in through the air. A scene far removed from the impurity and grief of humans. A world with nothing, yet one that needed nothing. It was his most precious memory. The winter tundra had changed into a spring meadow. Naoko's so-called true magic confused Toko. Sure, it was pleasing to the eye, but she wanted to see something less idyllic. Aoko's spell was clearly no small feat, but the surrounding mana had not changed. Better to be confused, though, than deal with something like Alice Koanji's flat snark. The only changes seemed to be the flower fields and Aoko's appearance. I never realized that she's wearing fucking jeans.
She is
She's
wearing jeans.
She's wearing low-rise jeans.
They're ripped.
You wearing jeans before this?
No.
Damn, so she just wanted jeans. Part of her thing is just wanting to have jeans. Ripped jeans.
I think she's probably always wanted jeans because she wears jeans in Tsukihime.
I think this appearance is supposed to reflect her desires as well, because, you know, she's really into rock. So,
Yeah. Oh yeah, she even knows how to like play the guitar and
Yeah.
stuff, yeah.
She's being her most
So-
true self right now.
Yeah.
True self for true
She's,
magic.
she's
Hey.
probably even wanted to dye her hair, and now it's permanently red. So.
Yeah. And like extensively long.
Yeah. Alco's appearance. She seemed to have received some enhancement to her physical form, but it would never be enough to match Toko.
確かに魔法といえば魔法
Okay, so I know this is magic. Toko said with a hint of annoyance.
あいにくとお
But
互
I'll
い
be
夢見る
honest.
年頃ではないんだ
This is a letdown.
まさかそれで終わりではないだろ
There has to be more, surely. This can't be it. Alco began walking through the sea of flowers. But she was not heading towards Toko.
いえ
Yo.
私も
This is it. For me and for you. Alco's words sent a wave of unease through Toko. Her sister's voice seemed different somehow. It was mostly the same in pitch, so it had to be the tone. No, that was the same too.
Her sprite is becoming more and more blurry.
Yes. Something was off. Could it be? It was then Toko noticed something else had changed. Not just Alco in the clearing. The severed body lying at Alco's feet was now whole. You can't see it, but I'm shaking my plush. So I'm very
Boy.
pumped.
Return of the King.
The boy.
Here comes the boy. Corpse reanimation? Wound healing? It did not look like Alco had used a significant formula, and besides, regenerating a body did not bring it back to life. Since the dawn of time, even true magic never been able to bring back the dead. But the body of the boy behind Alco was moving. It was breathing, like it was taking a nap.
He probably is, to be honest.
He's straight up passed out.
ああ尾崎の魔法
I just imagine he wakes up and just goes, you know, the last thing I remember was reaching for your hand, and then I guess I lost too much blood and passed out. Why can I use my arms? Can the Awasaki magic resurrect the dead? No. No way. This isn't resurrection, it's... Before she could think of an answer, Toko realized what had seemed out of place of her before. Alco's mannerisms appeared beyond her years. Her appearance had changed ever so slightly, but beyond there had been a change from within. By the time Toko arrived at that seemingly impossible conclusion, Alco had closed the distance between them. Her back things look like weed now. Circuit connected. Alco raised her left hand to eye level.
You know, wait. So, to Toko, it seems like only the the flowers changed once.
Mhm.
But to Alco, she
It
probably
changed
went.
multiple
It
times.
changed like hella.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's cool.
Because she paused time, rewinded it, and then it bloofed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Toko could hear the magical energy parading inside of Alco. It was sound Toko had never heard before. Alco only possessed single function, low-grade circuits, no better than another third-rate mage, so she generated magical energy at a much lower rate than Toko. However, this speed was absurdly quick, moving even faster than the blood pumping through her body. Magecraft could vibrate, but how in the hell were the activated magic circuits audible?
Even the association had never heard of such a thing.
我が目前に勝利ありき
Onward to victory. Spurred to action by the sudden dread she felt, Toko hurriedly carved runes into the air. Toko summoned the divine protection of victory. Tire?
Tier, I think.
Tier? Okay. Because it could be tire or it could be tier.
It's probably
'Cause we know
tier.
why. Yeah.
What?
Tier.
I want
To surround herself with a
words
barrier.
tier.
To surround herself with a barrier, which was further enhanced by her crests. Paying it no mind, Alco held her arm steady, now moving it up to strike her target directly.
まだ変化
Bullets. Deploy. Alco commanded herself succinctly.
Holy crap!
Oh, I breathed wrong. This was beyond magecraft. In just a few words, she had fired 20 magic bullets. Like a meteor shower, the bullets smashed through the rocket-proof rune barrier, as well as Toko's spell-woven coat. Yes, tear her asunder for what she's done.
装填ではなく
You
展開だ
shot
ろ
them without loading? The protective rune lined her coat, screamed. They would not be able to take another barrage like that. And she had already taken internal injuries. She loathed to admit it, but Alco vastly outclassed Toko in terms of raw power. Even harder to admit was that her sister probably had not even brought out the big guns yet.
アンサズソウェルイングズ
Ansu, Suelo, Ingras! Jumping backward, Toko drew more runic symbols in the air. In response, her crest burned brightly. But
遅い
too slow. With a single word, Alco nullified the runes, dissolving them before they could be given meaning.
It might as well have been simple Nordic curses.
The power of Alco's words had surpassed the magical energy of Toko's rune magecraft. With the runes nullified, Alco continued advancing through the white flowers. From her calmness to the robust spinning of her magic circuits and her breathing, she was different. A woman with sublime self-control, a trait only found in mages with a lifetime of combat experience.
あれは時間か
You traveled in time! Given the evidence, that was the only explanation for Aozaki magic. Alco's magic circuits had not been amplified. That would have been impossible anyway. Like Toko, she would have to externalize them, which would just increase the scope of her magical energy and techniques. By nature, the quality of a mage's magic circuits did not change. But Alco was now clearly a superior mage to Toko. So there was only one logical conclusion. In an instant, she had grown from an amateur to a veteran. She fast-forwarded her own time. The sacred red mage turned her back on her sister and ran. She knew she could not win, so she fled toward the old school building.
Dawn letter didn't.
Alco did not fire. Not out of pity, but because she deduced that an attack at this range was risky. She went to chase after her sister, but stopped suddenly. Few words caught in her throat. She took a small breath.
Alice, そいつお願い.
Watch him, Alice. She said, slightly embarrassed by the maturity of her voice.
He lives.
White petals filtered through the air. Without looking back, she made after Toko, her long hair flowing behind her.
Huh?
He lives. He's alive. He's alive. Told you.
Boy.
I was finally right on something, and that was he was alive. He was gonna live.
Oh, Lauren. His eyelids snapped open. At last, Soujyuro awoke from his long slumber. Lying on his back, he gazed up at the stars. The trees around him created a porthole into the space. Despite seeing all this for the first time, he felt an uncomfortable sense of deja vu. So many questions. What happened before he fell asleep? Why had he been sleeping? Everything was just so hazy. It was like he had walked out the door one minute and woken up in bed the next. With so many thoughts clouding his mind, he could barely recall his own name. All he could remember was a girl he'd never seen before,
What?
and something thin around his neck.
Shizuki-kun.
Suzuki. The voice, quiet but clear, belonged to the girl named Alice Kuwanji, who was at his side.
Oh, yeah.
He sat up, mumbling incoherently. Oh, she looks so pretty. The black-clad girl knelt next to him.
Flower.
He said, paying no mind to Alice. Under the blue moonlight, spring flowers swayed, surrounded by dead trees and snow. Against the curtains of night, white petals danced in the breeze like butterflies. Staring long and hard at the spectacle, Soujyuro suddenly raised his fingers to his neck. He moved carefully, like he was touching a wound. Then, gradually, he began squeezing. Harder. Harder.
Shizuki-kun.
Suzuki. The voice of the girl beside him brought him back to reality.
せっかく戻れたのに
Leaving so
また行く
soon?
の
You just came back.
What?
She sounded both sad and reproachable. But Soujyuro did not understand why. Seeing the uncharacteristic concern in her eyes snapped him back to his senses.
I'm leaving. Where would I go?
His fingers fell away from his neck. Without answering, she blankly looked at the sky. Though there was only the infinite darkness of space.
Well, whatever. What was I doing again? My head feels strange. Like it's full of cobwebs.
Soujyuro tilted his head in confusion. Alice observed him motionlessly. This bewildered boy was a far cry from the one that made short work of a werewolf. Then again, this was Soujyuro. As she stared at him, she realized she did not have an answer he could understand. So she tried asking a question. The same question she had asked him repeatedly as he slept, but eventually gave up expecting a response to.
今までしずきくんは何をしていたの？
Tell me, do you remember what you were doing, Suzuki? Her quiet question was spoken like an enthralling spell of matecraft. Said spell seemed to work, and Soujyuro sank into a sea of memories. Atop the bright white hill, they quietly sat for a while, like siblings.
I remember hearing someone's voice. I think they were asking me something, but I couldn't respond at all.
Thought, though consumed by the darkness of death, he could still vaguely recall the girl's question. He was not aware that he had died, but it seemed a fragment of time remained from when he had been with her. Sojuro's expression darkened, filled with regret. Looking at his profile, Alice pressed him further.
それで欲しいものは見つかった？
And did you find what you were looking for? Remembering that someone had asked him questions, he gave a slight nod.
Yeah, I did. But I honestly didn't think I would, Alice. This whole time, I didn't think I would.
The regret in his voice was accompanied by a hint of strength. Lowering his gaze, Soujyuro saw a white flower garden that looked like something from the afterlife. It shone brightly, captivating him.
I remember now. I think I got cut in half in front of Alco. But then, why am I alive?
Soujyuro said, prodding his body curiously. He's just poking his stomach like, there should be a space here. His arms were their old selves again. But what of Alco? He turned toward Alice for an answer, who sat among the flowers looking sullen.
巻き戻されたのよ、しずきくんは。
You were rewound, Suzuki.
この風景も本来はあなたの記憶だけど。
This place is from your
わから
memories.
ない。
Don't you remember? Alice seemed to be speaking in riddles.
My memories? That's weird. I'm drawing a blank.
今しずきくんの時間は青子に使われているから。
Your time is being used
そ
by
れが
Alco.
戻されるまで
Until the
思
time
い
is
出すこと
returned,
はないわ。
you won't be able to remember. She answered ominously as she cast her gaze over the flower garden.
でもこれが消えてしまうのは
A
残念
shame
ね。
all this won't stay.
元に戻れば
Once your time's
思
returned,
い返せるのは
I'll be
私
the
だけ
one
な
who
の。
remembers. Looking at the white blossoms, she smiled momentarily.
What? Smiles?
Her words only confused him further.
You're not gonna tell me, are you, Alice?
He said dejectedly, prompting Alice to face him. What emotions lay inside those deep eyes?
意味のない話だけど
It's pointless
Keep
having
going.
me tell you, but do you want to hear anyway?
Yeah. If it's not too bothersome, Alice.
Soujyuro nodded enthusiastically, while Alice took a deep breath and closed her eyes.
That's the first time she's ever considered telling him something that he'd forget soon enough.
When she spoke in a caring tone, as caring a tone as she was capable of.
Just a slight octave higher than her
あな
usual
たは
tone.
一度死んで生き返ったの。
The long and short of it is, you died, then you came back to life.
しずきくんがトウコさんに殺
After
され
you
て
were
から
killed by Toko,
青子が目を
Alco
覚ますま
rewound
での
the
5
5
分
minutes
間
before
分
you
の時
opened
間
your
を巻き
eyes.
戻してその時あなたは
Meanwhile,
10年近い年
She's
月を
roughly
青子
10
に
years
使わ
of
れ
your
た
time.
2人とも肉体年齢は変わってない
Neither,
から中の
neither
時
of
間
you
だけ持っ
changed
ていったんでしょうね
So she must have borrowed time from you mentally.
だから今
That's
こ
why
の
right
景色
now,
を懐か
this
しく思
beautiful
えるの
scenery
は
would only
Alco
bring back
だけ
memories for Alco in possession of your time.
そして
And once the time exchange was over, neither Alco nor Soujyuro remember what happened during these moments. When Alco used someone else to channel her true magic, it did not affect her alone. If she had rewound time for only herself, the temporal inconsistencies would form part of her own experience. Form part of her own experience. However, this was proper time travel. The inconsistencies would be corrected. When the magic ended, both Aoko's memories of this place and Sojuro's unfamiliarity with it would be corrected. This miracle would become unrealized. Only the observers would remember the brilliant white sea of flowers, Alice, and Toko.
時間を持
She
っていく
borrowed my time.
Soujyuro asked, his head tilting even farther at Alice's general explanation. She recalled how Aoko said that if you gave Soujyuro a roundabout answer, he would stop asking questions, even if he did not comprehend it.
しずきくんを生き返らせる方法はなかったから
There was no way to
命の復元よ
resurrect
り
you.
死そのものの回避を
Aoko attempted
Aoko
to
は試みた
circumvent your death completely.
まだ青子には無理なのか
Perhaps because she was unable,
それと
or
も
because she was
今
hesitant.
回もひよったのか大きな操作は避
She
けて
avoided any large-scale
Please, Alice.
manipulation and settled for a smaller
自分
exchange
とあな
between
た
the
だ
two
け
of
の
you.
交換にとどめたようねあなたは今5分間
That
だ
means
け
you've effectively
時間を
jumped
飛ん
through
だ
time
ことに
by
なる
5 minutes.
仮に遠い未来
Even if
こ
someone
の
from
時
the
間を
distant
検索
future
でき
was
る人
able
が
to
いた
look
と
through
して
time, they
あなた
couldn't
だけは
find you in those
誰
5
にも見
minutes
つけられない
because you don't exist in
だって
regular time anymore.
時間軸の上にいなかったんですもの
You pulled him out of the
So
time
stay
stream.
I
青子
guess
は
so.
自分の時間を上乗
Simultaneously,
せするために
Alco borrowed your time to
あなた
advance
か
her
ら時
own.
間を借り受けた多分幼年期の時
More
間で
than
しょうね
likely, time from your
個
childhood.
人の時間操作
From what
は
I understand,
忘却している
individual
部分
time
の方が楽だと
manipulation
聞
is
きまし
easier when using forgotten memories.
しずきくん
Suzuki? Should I slow down? Alco asked with her eyes. All Soujyuro could do was nod.
つまり
So,
2つの奇跡を
Alco used two
青子は
miracles.
行使したのあなたの体の巻き
She
戻しと
rewound your body
自
and
分
fast
の
forwarded
体の
her
早
own.
送りねしずきくんの時間に介入する際
When going into your
ついで
time,
に
she borrowed
10
10
年
years
分
of
の時間を
yours
借り
to
受け
bring
て
her
未
future
来の
self
自分を持っ
closer.
てきただから今
Therefore,
トウコさんを殺そう
the
と
one
してい
trying
る
to
の
kill
は
Toko right now is actually no
27歳分
Kawasaki
の
with
時間を持って
27 years of experience.
青崎青子ということになるわ
What on earth was Alice talking about? Sojuro's expression gave away his thoughts, though the part about Toko made him furrow his brow.
After this, I'm probably going to look up how the fifth magic
Time
works.
travel?
How Nasu time travel
Yes.
We just watched a movie about time travel, alright? And this is even more confusing than the actual movie.
Yes.
Damn.
From my understanding, Aoko cannot generate time. Cannot generate the power to manipulate time herself. She can only manipulate time that exists, which means going through people's lifetimes through memories.
Mm-hmm.
And so Soujyuro, and so she's able to take Soujyuro, certain people outside of time as well.
What does being
Utilizing
outside of time mean, though?
good question. I'm guessing it means to literally to literally skip forward through moments in time, making it so that they never do anything until she puts them back.
Yeah, like, kind of like, you know the times, like, when people get murdered, they're like, oh, if only they'd stayed home with me, that kind of thing, it's like that. They skipped being killed.
Yes.
If they had stayed home.
Mm-hmm.
So, instead of Soujyuro getting sliced and diced, he was picked out and basically moved, like, 7 feet to the left when that rune attacked the area he should have been in.
Right. That's what I'm thinking, at least.
That's how I'm perceiving what you're
Yes.
saying. So
So with
Simul-
Alco having now 27 years of experience, essentially, how does that work?
Essentially.
She took 10
She
years
took
of
10
Sojo's
years.
life, right?
yes, just to advance
And-
her. But once she gives all of those 10 years back, she'll revert back to her 17 years.
Yes.
So she used those 10 years to basically essentially
Look,
run
10
a
years in the
simulation of herself in 27 years, in like 10 years after.
Yes.
So this is future Alco.
Yeah, all of the
And fighting
knowledge and such that
present
she would
Toko.
have 10 years in the future, she gave herself now.
Yes.
That would mean predestiny's thing. There's a lot of stuff going on.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
There's a lot of stuff.
I guess it
going on.
also means that Alco decided to start wearing jeans within those 10 years.
Well, yeah, duh. They're comfy.
Wait,
Sometimes.
10 years. When does Tsukihime take place?
2014.
20 years from now?
So,
Yeah. Almost 30 years from now?
2014 is the events of Tsukihime. 10
Okay.
year.
This is the 80s.
Yes, this is the 80s right now.
So it's like 30 years.
Yeah. The events. So Aoko meets Shiki 10 years. I think 10 years ago, or was it 8?
No, it was 7.
Right, 7. Sorry, 7 years before the events of Tsukihime. So that's 2007.
Right.
Still like 30 years. Well, it's more like 27.
Old.
20.
Anyways, that doesn't. 27
She
years.
old.
27
Anyways.
years.
That's a long time.
And she looks great.
She looks.
She does.
Yeah, she looks pretty great.
She aged
looks fine.
well. I think she's using true magic to do a little bit of time stop on herself.
Probably.
There's a good chance.
In any case,
トウコさんを殺すって
Aoko's gonna kill Toko?
もう終わってるでしょうけど
If she hasn't already. Yes. As soon as Alice answered, Soujyuro sped off,
Damn.
kicking up white petals behind him as he ran. The brave boy who defeated a werewolf was back.
Sojuro's
Alice
back.
watched him
All
go.
right.
On a snowy night, the same boy ran down Shiro Unozuki Hill for her too. Soujyuro entered the old school building. Lights flashed and the sound of destruction exploded around him, threatening to turn the area into a burial ground. Still, he remained focused.
ほら
Sojuro, please make sure you don't get sliced and diced again.
See, Aoko.
悪いけれ
Oh
ど
no,
やっ
see,
ぱり無
Aoko.
駄だったわ青子
Sorry, but I knew this would happen. Her words only reached the white petals, the white flowers around her. Aoko knew Soujyuro too well, so she wanted Alice to stop him. If he tried to interfere in the battle against Toko, she could not protect him this time. But it was too late to celebrate Aoko's judgment now. The girl in black had no intention of going after him.
This is such a good background.
It is. Hold on.
It's
I
really
like it.
pretty.
Mm-hmm.
This could be
And
a very good
this is the
desktop
same
background.
field that's like on the cover art.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think this is also used. This specific like area is also used for the not Tsukihime, the Witch on the Holy Night trailer.
Yeah,
It's good.
I would be surprised if it wasn't.
It's the movie. I want to see this in the movie.
Genuinely, I am so excited to see who they get to voice the stupid fucking werewolf.
Fair
boy.
enough. The
What if
movie
it's
is
the
I wanna
same
know
voice
so
actor?
bad.
supposedly it's coming this year, actually.
I hope
Okay.
they get Venti. I hope they get the voice
Venti
actress
for
from
as the
Venti to-
werewolf boy.
for the stupid
God.
for Bayo. I want that. I want
Joan
that
of
so
Arc
bad.
voices Bayo.
Yes, I want it. Give it. Give. She simply sat for a while, gazing forlornly at the transcendent flower garden.
God, the Type Moon music is coming in.
A storm of magic bullets struck down a hail of lightning blades. A mage's workshop was their home base and last line of defense. It featured an abundance of defensive spells designed to cut down brazen challengers and thieves. The old school building was no exception, painstakingly rigged by puppet master and rune mage Tokuazaki. A reflection of her bizarre obsessions, the workshop was set to indiscriminately destroy any intruders. Stay still for one goddamn second, you freak! Toko complained as she ran down the hallway, activating her traps along the way. But nothing seemed to work. None of the runes, regardless of their quality or quantity, could slow her sister down.
Love how those strikes synced up with the music.
They're great.
Her action's speed and ability to predict attacks could only be described as transcendent. Even magic bullets she fired from both her arms were too much, destroying the runes in the very wall of the house that housed them. Is that all your newfound maturity has got you? The ability to smash things like a child?
Coco's objective right now is just run.
As she spat out her words, the ceiling opened, increasing the pressure from the runes. Invisible walls propped up in the hallway. Alko stopped and swung her right leg upward. Straight toward the ceiling. Her foot cut through the thick air like a knife through butter, shattering the ceiling and the runes along with them. You're one to talk, always going overboard. Don't you even ever get fed up of creating runes? You're not trying to build a space fortress. It's building those precious memories for people, so show some damn respect. She says as she throws bullets. The wooden boards along the hallway that had withstood decades of wind and snow were now destroyed. Alko charged forward. Wow, what a weird gas leak, guys.
What a strange gas leak.
Okay.
Very intense gas leak, everybody. The skies turned dark and glowed for like multiple times. And then there's a large field of flowers right over there beyond the hill.
Oh,
Such
what
a
a weird
weird
gas
gas
The
leak.
chaos.
The gas got
chaos
the
was
gas got to
inevitable.
the city. Everyone's hallucinating because of the gas.
Clearly. While Toko's runes cursed living creatures, Alko's magic bullets destroyed all without prejudice.
噂のかけらもない
You don't have an elegant bone in your body.
あんなのが自分の妹だと思う
To
と
think you're my sister. Toko would do anything to change her blood, but there were more pressing matters at hand. The girl rushing her now was not the sister she remembered, but rather a more complete version of her. Toko could not afford to let her guard down for a second. But
そんなものが魔法であるもの
this
か
is supposed to be magic. Don't make me laugh. Localized time travel. Toko didn't believe that was true nature of Aozaki's magic. Echo's transformation had to be a mere byproduct of true magic. She couldn't make heads or tails out of its depths even with Alco having achieved it. At the very least, it was not so simple a miracle. After all, the concept of time travel was already made possible through the second magic.
Yeah, that's true. That checks out.
What's the
What's
second
second
magic
magic?
The
again?
second magic is, that was achieved by, I believe his name is Zelrich.
Of course, it was.
That's the second magic is called Kaleidoscope, which allows Zelrich to essentially draw mana from alternate universes. So
Fair.
1, the multiverse is real in the Nasuverse, and 2,
I mean,
he can
yeah.
traverse it.
I mean, there's so much fate that, of course, there's multiple dimensions.
Fair enough. Zelrich has met a young Arcoide, by the way.
Oh, jeez.
I love it.
So the second magic is dimensional travel, essentially.
Yes. So
Dimensional magic.
yeah, well, dimensional, universal, I suppose.
Siphoning.
Universal travel.
Multiversal
Yeah,
magic.
he can draw mana from multiple dimensions or from multiple universes, and also, like, transfer himself into multiple universes. And therefore, he can also time travel.
Mm.
So, yeah, what Toko is saying is true.
Can he time travel through different points in time in his home universe?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Record manipulation, revision of possibilities, and so forth involved the operation of parallel worlds. So there was no way that could be a fifth magic.
となると
What is the
次に出てくる
Which
疑問
brings
は
me
こ
to
れ
my
か
next question, Alco.
青子貴様
Where the hell did you get those 10 years
その10
from?
どこから持ってきた
Don't you mean when the hell?
あのボンクラからよ悪い
From the moron outside. Got a problem?
後で返すんだからあんたに非難される
I'm
覚え
gonna
はありま
give
せん
his
けど
time back after, so don't you dare judge me. That made sense.
No, it did not.
There was a bias, but the amount of time on this axis had not been changed. But,
ではあの5分間はどうする
so what are you going to do with those 5
ま
minutes?
さか私を始末した後彼を
Finish
元の
me
状
and
態に
return
戻す
him
の
to his
か
former state? Is that your plan? Alco stopped in her tracks. Toko took aim at Alco's glaring oversight. Aozaki magic and Alco's humanity were inconsistent.
そうだ時間操作では死者の蘇生は許されない
Yeah, you can't revive someone by manipulating time.
お前がしたことは一時
All
だけの
you've
気休
done
め
is
か
console yourself for a moment. The magic crest on Toko's back began to demonstrate their true worth. Drawing upon the magical energy stored in the crests, she materialized her largest trap yet in the hallway. Or maybe you committed an even greater sin. 3 rune stones appeared. Their scale and level of magical energy were wildly different from the other runes. Created by Toko herself for the Mages at the Mages Association. They were replicas of one of the lost primordial runes created by a Nordic giant.
Doctor?
The three Thrin's crystalline lenses amplified her carved runes tens of millions of times.
Man, she really likes lenses and mirrors, huh?
It's her specialty.
What
really.
if this girl gets spared and becomes an ophthalmologist? That's where Alko gets Shiki's glasses from.
Or
Mhm.
she considers Alice her sister, and Alice makes the glasses.
That is true. That also works. Alice is a better sister than this bastard bitch.
So true. Fair enough.
They rendered projectiles like magic bullets ineffective. Even if Alko's magical output far exceeded Toko's, these giant slabs were several times more powerful still. Alko's signature magecraft could only release magical energy, so she had no way to defend or evade the attack. Affix subject axis. Pushing herself on, Alko took a deep breath of resolve. Instead of defending or dodging, she went low and charged into the rune storm. You didn't even exist within the time axis? Within this time axis, do you? Infuriated by the realization, Toko set her magic crest to full power. Through repeated second-long bursts of time travel, Alko was able to avoid the runes completely. She was either sending the attack's impact to a different time, or laying several thousands of herself on top of one another. Whatever. No way she could keep up the kind of magical energy output. One down. Alko kicked the crystal slab to pieces. Two remained. Distance 30 feet. Toko had 10 seconds of magical energy left, but that was all she needed. Alko, on the other hand, would stop now if she had any common sense as a mage. She couldn't continue breaking the runes for much longer. Then again, time travel itself was breaking the rules. Alko! Once again, Alko used the same technique. Toko's suspicion turned into white-hot hatred. She couldn't care less about her time travel formula. It was the amount of magical energy she had. Energy. Where was she pulling the energy necessary to jump through times for so long? Wait, I knew it! It was the death of Soujyuro Suzuki. If she had brought him back 5 minutes to when he still was alive, where would those 5 minutes go? Alko's magic wasn't using parallel worlds to change this one. She had only rewound Sojuro's 5 minutes. Then, logically, he'd return to being a corpse as soon as the magic ended. Time travel that didn't change the world couldn't change the past. Therefore, she wanted to save him. She had to either truly resurrect him or send those 5 minutes of reality somewhere far away without returning them. 2 down! Alko showed no sign of slowing. From behind her crystal barrier, Toko glared at Alko with disdain.
Answer me, Alko. What did you do with his time? How are you going to balance all this heat? How the hell should I know? I tossed his time somewhere into the distant future. What? 15 feet to go. Faced with such madness, Toko wanted to cover her eyes. She put the debt of the present. She put the debt of the present into the distant future. A time paradox would have been more humane. Such an enormous, haphazard consumption of heat could not be allowed. After all, time travel alone required a massive amount of energy. Magical energy was required to bring things from somewhere else. At the same time, losing something that existed here consumed an incredible amount of energy. And what about the magical energy used for cooling? If either fell out of equilibrium, it would mean total chaos. The distortion caused by her magic would come to affect the entire sector of space. How the hell can you be so dumb? You're going to pile that debt onto the dead end of the end that humanity will reach? You're going to lay it at the feet of the heat death of the universe? That's like hanging a world-ending meteor over the head of this planet.
Yo, Dino.
Or are you planning on crushing the earth under your own weight? What? The last comment made Aoko's eyes widen. Her every step exerted such force to break the floorboards beneath her feet. I'll worry about that later. Next time, I'll put the dead in the past. That better? Then only the past will be crushed by the distortion. That's your master plan? Save the present by destroying the past? That saves us. But what about the heat problem? The burden of the rest of the universe? Exactly. Even if the universe were closed, or the present were still expanding, the absurd increase in heat consumption would become uncontrollable. That which waits for the end of infinite expansion.
Entropy?
Infinite consumption. And infinite growth is a future without hope. The nothingness before creation. Eventually the universe would burn up. I mean, the Aozaki's magic only makes the conclusion more certain, and that's on you! Don't you think I know that already? I'll figure it out. As long as I live, I'll figure something out. 5 feet to go. The rune blast now carried all of Toko's hatred, focused into a scorching hot laser beam. Her body being torn into by intense heat, and her emotions raging. Aoko drove her foot into the ground. Oh, you'll take responsibility, will you? How exactly? I said I'd figure it out, didn't I? Starting now! You make me sick.
Holy shit.
That's wicked.
That's amazing.
That's wicked. That's cool. That's a cool background.
We have
For real.
There's so many thumbnail-worthy clips here.
Real.
Too bad I'm not using any of them as a thumbnail.
Bam! Come on.
I'm drawing the last one
Is this gonna
That's
be the
what I do.
last
That's
one?
what I did. That's what I.
We should.
Well, okay. If this isn't, well, actually, probably this won't be the last one. To be fair, with all of us, let's all be honest with ourselves. We're gonna get to the end of the chapter, and then we're gonna stop, and then we're gonna have another part, and that one will be the last one because we'll just do the end of the last chapter and the last one.
Yeah.
That'll take up like 2 hours. Because it's a whole last chapter, and chapters are long. And then we also need to look at all the interesting bonus shit. Like maybe that's where Penguin Alice is. We gotta find Penguin.
Maybe we'll
Look, I
get
just wanna see
Penguin
Penguin
Alice at
Alice.
the end.
I just want to see Penguin Alice. That's all I
Maybe
need
we'll
in life.
get Penguin Alice at the end of the game, just like the Teach Me CL Sensei segment.
I need the
Please,
I
me
need
Alice.
Penguin Alice in my life. Penguin Alice needs to be added to Fate Grand Order.
No,
I don't have a
summon-
problem, I swear.
Just
Toko's last defense was shattered. Close enough to connect, the two mages unleashed their magecraft. Red runes, blue ether. In a cascade of magic bullets, Toko Azaki's crest was torn to pieces, and so was Toko herself. It was just as Alice said. By the time Soujyuro arrived, it was already over. The old school building, wooden boards. The old school building's wooden boards had survived the elements for decades, but they were not ready for a magic duel. The entrance door hung off its hinges. The floorboards groaned. The stairs were ready to collapse underfoot. Toko's escape and Aoko's pursuit had left a trail of destruction leading all the way to the second floor. The chaos continued to the end of the hall, by the stairs to the third floor. There was multiple floors, it looked like it was just a one-floor building.
Fair.
Toko sat in a heap with her back against the wall. Despite her injuries, she kept her eyes firmly on Aoko. She was bleeding internally and had multiple broken bones. She would not be moving anytime soon.
killer.
Possibly damaged by Aoko's flying kick, her mystic eyes had ruptured from within,
What?
closing them indefinitely.
Her eyes exploded.
Damn.
Despite her battered and broken body, she was still breathing steadily, a testament to her stubbornness. Before her stood Aoko, staring down at her, uninjured.
屋上までは持つと思っていたんだが
Thought I could make it to the roof. Toko was not trying to be facetious. She sounded genuinely disappointed. Aoko responded with a cold glare. Her azure eyes had not changed one bit.
It's me, Toko. I am the witch on the holy night.
They were callous as ever, yet undeniably beautiful. From where she stood, Aoko held her hand out toward Toko. Like a hunter about to put a wounded prey out of its misery. The victor was decided. The mage came to steal land and got a death sentence for her trouble. Silence was disquieting. Moonlight peered through the demolished ceiling, illuminating the two sisters with its stare. The utterly mad sibling squabble was over. Now the fireworks were finished, and the cold wind had returned to claim the old school building.
何か言い残すことはある
Any last words? Aoko's voice cut through the silence. Toko thought for a moment, before lightly patting her coat pocket. Nothing. She frowned.
最後に一服と思ったが
I thought I'd have one less
お前
smoke,
を待っている間に
but
吸
it
い
looks
切っ
like
て
I
しまっ
burned
て
through
ね
them all.
日本のタバコはうますぎていけない
They're bad for me anyway. Japanese cigarettes taste too good. Ako gave a small nod.
なかなか常人には真似できない遺言
Not
だった
exactly the
な
last words I was expecting.
待て待ていくら私でも
Wait, wait,
遺
okay,
言まで謎
fine.
かけをする気はな
Tough
いよ
crowd.
お
I'll give you
望
what
み
you
通
want.
り
The
敗者は
meaningless
敗
final
者らしく
cry
当倍
of
を
a
上げる
loser.
から聞くといい
Toko's voice was laden with sarcasm, but not hostility or hatred. Perhaps her vendetta was not directed at Aoko herself, but rather a product of two sisters born into a mage family.
青崎の魔法が時間旅行に端を
I
発
never
するも
thought
の
the
とは
Ozaki
思わなかっ
magic
た
would be time travel.
まだ事情
Some
があり
kinks
そうだが
obviously need ironing
当事者
out.
ではない私にはな
That's not really for me to say.
ボンプにはわからない悩みだ
What would I know anyway?
せいぜい大事に付き合っていけばいいさ
Taking it seriously. Just take it seriously. And you'll be fine.
しかし10年経ってもそれでは先が思いやられる
Took 10 years to figure it out. Doesn't give me confidence. Though. I expected more of Alice.
アリスにしてはよく付き合ってくれた方よ
Alice helped me in her own way.
いつまでも
She
半
doesn't
人
think
前
I'll
って
ever
いう
make
の
a
が
real
彼女の
mage,
結
though.
論けどまあそうね
Can't say I disagree.
あの狼とならいい勝負をしたんじゃない
The wolf would have made it a more interesting match.
あれはダメだ
No.
敗北を知って
He's
しまった
useless now. He's tasted
もう
defeat.
半人前に値で勝っていようが
Before you wielded
魔法
magic,
の前には
perhaps,
得
but
意性を見失うだろ
he's lost himself now.
うところで青子
Tell me something,
お
Aoko.
前の魔法とやらは
Your magic.
手段か
Is it
それ
cause?
とも結果か
Or is it effect? Toko wanted to know if it came before or came after. Did Aoko need magic to get her where she needed to go? Or did she obtain magic as a result of reaching that place?
あとよ私は扉の前で尻尾を巻いたから
I turned
ジジイが
tail when
怖
I
くな
got
っ
to
て
the
知らない
door,
けど
so I never found out what the old man was thinking.
第一魔法と同じ経緯かますます業が
Then it
深
was
い
the same process as the first
第二
magic,
から第四は
even more
その場
sinful.
所へ到達するために
At
生
the
み出されたもの
At the second, though, for the fourth was created to reach that place.
同族嫌悪は世の常だ
If opposites
いずれ
attract,
第一と食い合
I
わな
guess
ければいいの
similar
だがね
impulse. Better hope the first doesn't bite back.
しかし扉ときたか
You reach the door then?
魔
It
法の
shows me
継承
magic
とは
inheritance is
パスの
similar
継
to
承の
path
ようやな
inheritance, so
ではやはり
Henry's entrance
ここにユミ
was
ルの
your
入り
home
口がある
home.
と北欧かぶれのあなたにとってはね
That's the
私にとって
Scandinavian
は
name.
赤社の門という
I
も
call
のよ
it the gate of Akasha.
最初からそれを狙っていたんでしょあなたは
And what you were after the whole time, correct? Toko used every ounce of strength she could to find a nod.
望めば手に入るというのに
And it was
何年
going
も
to
待
be
つのは
mine,
嫌だったんだ
but I couldn't wait generations.
ソフトはそれで決別したようなものだっ
That's
た
where
よ
grandfather and I parted ways.
So
You hear that-
Sojuro's close.
You hear that? Yeah, you hear
Sojuro's
that
close,
glass?
I heard it.
You hear that glass shattering?
What? No.
Should have been accompanied with a yin.
青崎に対する復讐心はそれには優先されなかった
I had better things to do than chase revenge.
まあ
Well,
全ては終わった
It's
こと
over
だ
now.
もう語る
No
必要
use
がない
talking about it anymore.
最後に
There's just one
根
last
源
thing
に
to
触れた
ask.
感想が聞きたいな
What was it like touching the root? Toko spoke after taking a deep breath. Her last words showed no trace of hatred. Alko remained silent as she began raising her right hand up high. She recalled her grandfather's orders. The source of true magic. Revealing one's knowledge or impressions of the root was strictly forbidden. This was her sister's dying wish. Maybe it could be okay.
One last ploy, I feel it.
The conversation would end the moment she brought her arm down. Then, this rotting shell of a building would become her siblings too. What harm could it do? And it's not like she planned to follow her grandfather's rules anyway.
白状するとね、姉さん。
I have a confession to make. Ako's voice carried through the blue hallway.
正直、全然わからなかったわ。
I don't remember anything. Alko gave a blunt reply and brought her arm down like a bolt of lightning. Damn. Or at least, she tried to.
What?
Oh, hi, Soujyuro.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Sup? Her arm wouldn't listen to her. It wouldn't budge.
何のつもり？
What are you doing? Cursing Alice, Alko spat her question out with venom. Soujyuro materialized from behind, taking hold of her raised arm. Though unable to express it, Toko was shocked to see him too.
手離して。
Let go. Without looking at him or even at her restrained hand, Alko spoke sternly, her eyes forward. Come to think of it, at the amusement park he appeared out of nowhere to protect her from the puppet.
聞こえなかった。二度はないわよ。
Are you deaf? I won't say it again. She was not bluffing. If he hadn't interfered, even he would be given no mercy. I've decided to let you live. It would go against that promise, but he should know better. Even so, he maintained his grip on her arm.
いい加減に。
Do as you're... As Alko turned around, the word told caught in her throat. She immediately regretted looking at him. She saw herself in his expression. Mournful sadness. Judgmental anger. His conflicting emotions spoke to her of her own internal struggle. Voicelessly, quietly, without volition. Rustic gray eyes, questioning a deep sin.
言いたいことがあるならはっきり口にしなさい。
If you've got something to say, then spit it out.
それができないなら消えて。
Otherwise, get out of my face. Soujyuro gently released Alko's arm as she maintained her resolve. They locked eyes, neither friend nor foe. Their bitterness clashed without words. And then suddenly,
人殺しはいけないことだ。
Murder is wrong.
Soujyuro stated in that
And then
matter-of-fact
Shiki runs
way
up
of
and
his,
says, I'll show you what it means to kill.
with which Alko had become all too familiar.
Soujyuro literally ran up to give a PSA.
His words were empty. Trite.
Trite.
Trite. troglodyte. And yet, given her current state, they reached her. Although she would soon forget the fragments of Sojuro's memories, they made her painfully aware of how he felt. Still, she could not agree with him. It would come back to bite her if she let Toko go now. Her sister would come back again. She had already made 2 attempts on her life. Alko did not have it in her to forgive her sister for what she'd done. Above all, just as Toko said, if Alko did not change, she would be a novice forever. She had not even won her first mage battle yet. And she knew putting down a blood relative would require even more conviction. Nevertheless, his words echoed over and over in her heart. Murder is wrong. Such a childish phrase, but the earnestness with which he said it was enough to make her sick. Resisting, Alko glowered at Soujyuro.
だから殺されたくせに
So what?
その相手まで
She
か
just
ばうっ
killed
ていう
you,
のあんたは
and you're going to protect her?
元気になったら懲りずにやってくる殺人鬼が
You're
相手
going
で
to
も
let her go
見
so
逃
she
して
can
やれ
come
って
back
いう
and
の
kill you again when she's recovered?
まさか
No,
そこまで言ったら聖者だ
I don't have it in me to be a
自分
saint.
にはそこまでのことは言えない
But he would probably still let her go. He did not think that Toko would change. He also did not care to rationalize her actions based on her life. He was simply thankful. Thankful that this person before him was still alive. You seem pretty damn saintly to me. That was what had made Alko so angry. His overwhelming innocence and self-righteousness enraged her. Like the halls of mirrors was happening all over again. The only difference now she knew why he was acting like this. It's because she had taken a part of him. He took a step forward, passing by her, saying words he knew he should not.
仕返しなら殺された人間がやるのが
If it's revenge we're talking about, it seems logical that the guy who was murdered should be the one to do it.
君を止められないの
I know I can't stop you,
だから
so I may as well do it, Aozaki.
俺がやる
It was difficult to discern who was the more pathetic in all this. Toko, who had been staring at them the whole time, closed her other eye, as if drifting off to sleep.
ごめんなさいトウコさん
I'm sorry, it's Toko.
Knowing her fate, Toko dropped her head as best she could as he walked toward her.
そうだな
You
君
know,
にはそれもい
it's
い
better
か
if
も
you're
し
the
れ
one
ない
to do it.
今は特殊な状況だから
Things are...
冷めた後に
crazy
君が
right
どれほど悔やむことになるか
Can't
想
imagine
像
how
も
much
できない
regret you'll feel after this all comes down.
ただそれで君の停滞は終わるだろう
You'll be out of purgatory.
晴れてみそぎ
You
落
can shake
としというわけだ
Shake off
純
your old
粋
self
に祝
and
福
move
してあ
on.
げられる気に食わないのは
The
そ
only
れを
thing I
決
regret
意さ
is
せたのが
it wasn't
私で
me
は
who
なかっ
made
た
you
と
like
いうこと
this.
ぐらいか
She knew that Soujyuro could not understand. Her words hanging in the air. She closed her lips tightly. Then weakly stuck out her slender neck. Soujyuro took another step forward.
Stop him as well. I knew it.
Oh. Before he could do anything, Alko moved. Spinning in front of Soujyuro, she cut off her magical energy and swung her hand as hard as she could. The sound of her slapping his face echoed through the hall, along with his staggering steps.
Aozoki.
Zaki?
You coward. Tears of anger welling up in her eyes, Ako turned back to Soujyuro, sulking, as if she would kill him as soon as she looked at him again. That's what you get for taking another person's memories. You must have gotten inside your head, Ako. Oh no, that was her sister. Fuck. That's what you get for taking another person's memories. You must have gotten inside of your head, Ako. Yeah, I had no idea it sucked so much to have your own will influenced by someone else. That was about all Alco could mutter.
Roll a memento.
True.
Well,
White.
maybe not roll a memento. I think both of them kind of wanted to
Shiki
kill
memento.
Shiki. I think.
I mean, but after that, though, Shiki was gone, kinda, after that.
Yeah, I mean, Shiki did what he wanted.
Capital Shiki.
Yeah, Capital
Shiki did what he
Shiki was
wanted,
like,
and
did
he
what he
just-
wanted,
and
then he just
and he
threw it
dipped.
off. And then Roa wanted to kill him for a different reason.
Yeah, yeah.
Morely for
Yeah.
funsies. The corners of Toko's lips curled into a grin. What's so funny? It's just, I didn't think you were capable of normal human compassion.
You're one to talk, woman.
Being scared of taking on others people's burdens for 10 whole years. You're not stupid. You're adorable. Now listen here. Don't glare at me like that. I meant what I said. So what's going to happen to me? You're going to let him kill me, or let me go.
Thoughtful.
It's not like I have a choice. Like you said, this is my reward. Ako said begrudgingly, shooting Soujyuro a sideways glance. He seemed to have recovered from the slap, and his usual absent-minded look had returned. He may have had no memories of his past, but his morals and values were too deep to be erased. Soujyuro was trying to violate those. He would eat away at him forever. And he would be doing it not for himself, but for Alco.
People literally would kill a man for someone else. That's
Alco
a
understood
bit
this
sad.
all too well now. The moment he said he would do it was the moment he lost. Not stopping him would be no different than watching him die. And she would lose something important inside her. Alco did not want that to happen.
Miyazaki, don't tell me you're one of those people who has to enact revenge on their own terms.
Alco ignored Soujyuro, who seemed to be having gotten the wrong idea. Again. Instead, she directed her scowl at Toko, who still lay collapsed in front of her. Excuse me, train, we are having a moment? Also, who blows the train horn at almost 4 a.m.? Weird people. Fine. I'll let you live this time, Toko. But don't think you can come and go as you please. Toko scowled at her little sister, standing smugly over her. If you're planning on handing me over to grandfather, you may as well kill me now. Yeah, right, I don't want to see him either. You're gonna leave this place, though. I won't get in your way or send word to the association. I'll be reporting what happened to Ritsuka myself. This'll be our secret. Toko's brow creased further. There had to be a catch.
青子何を企んでいる
What are you scheming?
別にその代わりに呪いをプレゼントしよう
Just
と思って
thinking about which spell to use
今
on
まで
you.
散々
But I
ガン食
won't
らってき
use
たし
Gonder.
おあいこでしょ
No. You've tasted that one enough already.
まあ私のはちょっと強力だけど
Yes, the curse I have in mind is a little stronger.
今後この土地に入ろうものならマダ
If you
ガ
ever
スカ
show
ガ
your
エルになっ
face
ても
around
らう
here
の
again, I'll turn you into a frog. Smiling as if they had just arranged to eat Chinese food tomorrow night, Alko walked towards Toko.
待て
Wait,
なんでそういうものだけ習得してるんだ
who taught you how to do something like that?
そりゃ師匠がアリスだもの
My
偏るの
mentor
は当
was
然でし
Alice,
ょ
of course. She always was an odd duck. Wouldn't you agree?
I think you mean goose. Or swan.
The elder Awazaki's sister's brows knitted so hard it could have produced a sweater.
She fixed Soujyuro at the back.
Perhaps this is why her sister would stay a novice forever.
総十郎席外して
Soujyuro? Get out of here.
覗き見が趣味なら別に見ていってもいい
Unless
け
you're
ど
a creepy pervert, then go ahead and watch. I don't care.
What's gonna happen?
As she spoke, she began removing her sister's overcoat.
Oh. All right, I'm head out.
The uncomfortable look in Toko's eyes compared to the strangely cheerful one in Alko's caused Soujyuro to hesitate. Was it really okay to leave the two of them alone? Eventually he nodded. This was just a weird game between sisters.
All right.
覗き見
Yeah,
は
sure, whatever.
確かにいい趣味じゃないな
Let's not be a
Best not be perfect. All right.
my god.
I want that on a shirt. I want that face with "best not be a pervert" underneath it.
That man
Will
did
be
not
good,
walk
sir.
out of here. That man did not walk out of here, okay? He vanished. he just went transparent and
Change.
vanished. That's
Best
what he
not
did.
be a pervert. My final message. Goodbye.
Just needs to-
That was the only thing.
Muttering more to himself than anything, he ducked into an empty classroom.
なんだそのブサイクで悪趣味な術
Hey,
式は
what kind of dumbass formula is
センスがないに
that?
も程があ
Are
る
we really
お前本当に
related?
私の妹
No.
かええこの通り
Afraid
芸
so?
術的才
You
能
took
は
all the
全部
artistic
姉貴
genes
に
for
持ってい
yourself.
かれた哀
Not
れな
thinking
妹
about
で
your
して
poor little sister.
嘆くなら
If you
自
wanna
分
blame
の
anyone,
天
blame
才性を
yourself.
嘆きなさいどうか
Dog. Down the cold, dilapidated hallway, cries of sadness, joy, and anguish rang out.
What's happening?
Outside, the fully bloomed white flower petals floated one by one into the night. This is a really long
Yeah.
chapter. Standing among the ballet of petals, Alice gazed up at the sky. The blossoms gathered into a cloud. They slowly vanished, as though falling asleep. Soon, not a single flower would remain, and the clearing would return to a snowy tundra. The magic had ended. In a matter of minutes, the past would return to its rightful place. Along with it, the time shared between the boy and the girl. The old school building was still. Alice embraced the silence and patiently waited. After a while, Soujyuro emerged from the building and Alice released a puff of white breath. A small sigh of relief. It was over. Soujyuro approached, carrying Alko, cradling her in his arms. Was she asleep? Her eyes were closed and she seemed peaceful. Her hair and limp body dangled like a silk drape. She looks just like Sleeping Beauty.
待っていてくれたんだ、アリス。
Oh, look at him.
Wait, I just realized. I just realized that this. They mentioned Sleeping Beauty before, right?
I think they
they've
did,
actually
yeah.
mentioned it a couple times.
Hilarious. So, you decided to wait for us, Alice.
He said, holding Alco with little effort. Alice
ト
nodded.
ウコさんはどうなったの？
What happened to Toko?
いや、
To be honest,
トウコ
I
さん
don't
は
really
帰
know.
ったよ。
But she's gone.
青崎が言うには、
Azaki said she placed a really strong curse on her so she wouldn't come back to Misaki for 10 years.
には入ってこれないって。その後、トウコさんが尻尾を巻くのを
And after that, she stood and watched Toko run away until she was out of
見えなくな
sight.
ったらそのまま倒れたんだ。
Then she collapsed.
Alice's response was brief, as she was wondering if things were really so simple. She seemed more concerned about Toko than Alco, which made Soujyuro concerned about Alice and Alco's relationship more than anything.
それはともかくとして、
Okay, well, anyway,
青子はどうなっている
what's
の？
going on with Alco?
He asked nonchalantly as he looked at Alco breathing deeply in her sleep.
矛盾と正常を合わせているのね。
It looks like the variables are still balancing out.
彼女の時間
Variables are
は
still balancing
今
out.
の時間とは異なってし
Since
ま
her
った。
time diverged from her current
歯車
one,
を合わせるまで
she likely
目
won't
は
open
覚め
her
ない
eyes
わ。
until all the gears line up again. Soujyuro nodded in understanding, very clearly still not comprehending a word Alice had just said.
なんか拍子抜けしたよ。
It's a bit of an anticlimax.
結局、
I can't tell if Alzaki or Miss Toko
どっ
won.
ちが勝ったのかよくつかめない。
そうね。魔術師の争いには
Mage
明
battles
確
aren't
な
always
点
cut
数
and
はつけ
dry.
られないから
It's not always
ど
just
ちらが
about
強
who
いか
was
で
more powerful.
勝負はつかないわ。トウコさんの大目的が
If
青崎の
Toko's
魔法の
objective
解
was
明
to
だ。
discover the Aozaki's
魔
true
法を
magic,
使わされた時
then
点で
Alco lost the
青子の
moment she
負け
used it.
その後のいざこざは凱
Everything
旋
that
する勝者を
happened
夜道で
after
襲ったようなものだ
was
し
merely the triumphant winner being accosted by the loser. Alice said as she turned her sights to the forest. Even Soujyuro could tell that was Alice's way of saying, "Let's go home."
そうだね。
Yeah,
青崎も
let's go.
こ
At
の
this
まま
rate,
じゃ
you'll both
風邪
catch a cold.
あ、それと、
Oh, I
青
almost
崎
forgot.
がトウコさんに呪いを
When
かける
Alzaki
時
cursed Miss
何かしてた
Toko,
んだけど
she did something else.
Soujyuro trailed off, hoping Alice would tell him what it was, but a stony and what somewhat affected gaze was her response.
見たのしずきくん
Did you watch Suzuki?
いや、青崎が出てけ。
No. Alzaki told me to get out.
そうそれで
Good.
青子はどんな呪いを
Did she
か
say what curse she placed on her?
えっと、
Something about turning her into a frog?
Soujyuro's explanation made Alice's expression darken. Akko was still a long way from learning any sort of polymorph spells.
そう
That's... Her thoughts prevented her from finishing the sentence. In actuality, it was perfectly within Alco's ability, considering what she was in a time at the moment. As Alco had said, Toko would not be able to dispel the curse for 10 years. And the Alco of the time had not the ability to use such a curse. Which meant Toko did not have anyone to rebound the curse to. No matter how much she researched dispelling powerful curses, she could not do it with the Alco of this timeline.
青子がトウコさんにつけたのは切り傷ぐらいだからしずきくんが心配するようなことはないわ
It's nothing for you to worry about.
青子にしては随分と生
I
ぬるい処
expected
置
her
だ
to do something much worse. After her slightly unsettling remark, Alice quietly began to walk. Soujyuro followed her, Alco in his arms. Together, they left the clearing and moved into the forest. As they did, Soujyuro abruptly froze.
しずきくん
Suzuki? He looked back towards the old school building's field with a strange expression. Where the fuck is the wolf? Was it homesickness he felt? Though this was only his second time seeing it, he had a nostalgic feeling, like he would never be back. He looked like a child saying goodbye to an old toy that had been thrown away.
Indy?
Seeing his expression, Alice felt a hint of sympathy and chided herself.
あの荒れ地がどうかした
Something on your mind? She asked him, watching the flowery garden fade into a snowy field. Soujyuro shook his
なん
head.
となく
Not really.
知っている場
It's
所
just
に似てる気がして
I feel like I know that place.
おかしいな
It's weird,
や
right?
ってきた時はそんな
I
気が
didn't
しな
feel
かっ
that
た
way when I got here.
He stood staring at the tundra for what seemed like an eternity, reluctant to leave. If she left him there, he would still be gazing at it, by morning probably even longer. But there was no point in doing that. In the end, Alice was the only one who would remember the beautiful scenery he yearned for.
ここはその場所にそんなに似てる
Does it really look that
全
familiar?
然似てない
Not at all.
面影すら
Not
感
one
じない
bit of it.
ならそれは気の迷いよ
Then it's just your imagination. Soujyuro nodded at Alice's harsh conclusion. He smiled slightly, deciding it was pointless to waste something that did not exist. To want something that did not
そう
exist.
だね
Yeah,
多分幻を見ていたんだ
maybe I saw it in a dream.
あれは一度
A dream where I was happy.
幸福だった時の夢だった
Severing the ties that bound him, Soujyuro turned his back away from the snowy clearing. Away from the unfamiliar yet familiar place where he had known happiness.
さあ早く帰ろう
Let's get
青
back.
崎は重いし
I'm
体
tired
も疲れて
and
る
Aozaki's heavy.
洋館に着いたら
How about we have a
温かいお茶を
warm
入れよ
cup of tea once we're back in the mansion, Alice?
Soujyuro spoke her name with a smile. Her heart skipped a beat. Since when did he start saying her name so casually like that? Somehow she managed to nod before beginning to walk again. As he moved away from her, she asked a small question to his back.
重いって私より
Is she heavier than me?
Wait.
Aoko was a bit taller than Alice, so naturally she would weigh more, but Alice wanted to hear him say it anyway. Not one to disappoint, Soujyuro answered without missing a beat.
ああ
Definitely.
数値的に言う
By
なら
about
アリスより
20
ちょっと
pounds.
増ぐらい
そう青子が聞
You
いて
do
たら
realize
大
if
変
Aoko knew you'd say that, she'd kill you. Judging by Alice's tone, she was probably going to tell Aoko later.
意地が悪いなアリス
You're kind of mean, Alice.
それに
You know,
さっきの
I did
本人
round
の
down
名誉
too,
のために
just to be
死者
nice.
購入してたんだぞ一応
His attempts at being kind had likely drawn him closer to his deathbed.
ダメかな
No good, huh?
He asked nervously. Alice could not help but crack a smile at his innocence. However, she was not used to smiling in front of others, so she turned away and walked into the woods. Where's the goddamn werewolf? Is he still crying?
Probably still is, honestly. I want them to adopt him. I want them to adopt the werewolf.
From Soujyuro's perspective, she was storming off in a mood.
なんだ
What?
友達の悪口で怒るなんて
She must really care if she's mad at me for saying that about you. Right, Ozaki?
No. Well,
Soujyuro rushed to catch up with Alice, gently carrying Aoko along the way. Though the prince lacked the courage to kiss the sleeping princess, he had at least saved her, and was bringing her back to her castle. Despite what he had been through, he did not look like your typical hero. Still, in this story at least, he most certainly was.
Oh my
that's where we're gonna stop.
god.
And now we're at the last part. That this is gonna be the last chapter.
That
Next time.
was.
Maybe not tomorrow, but whenever we record again, that's gonna be the last one.
Oh my god, that was insane. That was a roller coaster of emotions.
I was trapped in a glass box of emotions.
Yeah.